Hey, what up, everybody? I hope all of y'all is having a blessed and humble morning. Continue to have a blessed and humble day. This y'all, Shorty Rachel. I want to welcome all of y'all to the Writers for Life. Brings you the Let's Talk About It podcast. Let me make sure my mic is working. All right. Ooh, this is crazy. All right, so I've had a lot of people, send me videos from the Menendez brother. Shout out to Empress Lenny One Love because she was actually the first one, to speak on this case and brought awareness towards my way, right? Mind you, um, damn. My mom used to listen to Menudo when I was younger, right? I didn't know that this guy was he was part of that RCA. Damn, it's crazy how a lot of stuff. It's 2024, right? Everything is getting exposed, right? Let me start off by saying, right, this case is crazy, right? I don't just speak about one. I speak on it all. If I'm going to speak on one, I'm going to speak on all of them, right? So, for those of y'all that come in, if y'all see the little caskets down there, and listen, man, hashtag rest in peace to all the predators, right? Hashtag let's put all the predators away. We building caskets up in this John. But back then it's crazy how, right? This is something that I talk about a lot, right? Um Sexual abuse doesn't just happen to little girls, right? And women. Sexual abuse also happens to little boys and men. Looking into this case, right? I'm still into it. I'm still looking at videos. Like, these trials were long as hell. So today what we're gonna do, this is gonna be part one, right? And I'm gonna try to schedule the next live probably for next weekend, right? So we're gonna see how we gonna work this out because I got so many videos to react to, and I'm gonna do this on the weekends. Ooh, this Mendez case, the Mendez brothers case is crazy. So today we're gonna watch a few clips on this situation. But what I want y'all to know, right? Men have been sexually assaulted before, been sexually abused. What's crazy is, right? I putting two and two together. I've noticed that back then, right? And it's crazy because it's happening more and more now too, right? The same shit still happening. It hasn't stopped. It has not stopped, right? For some reason, people have this image in their head. I don't know, this thing in their head that boys can't get abused. Boys, men cannot get abused. How can it happen? It happens. I used to think like that too until I started listening to the stories. I started listening to the people that were going through what they was going through. And it's a shame, right? That we live in an era that when a man sits here and speaks on his story, says what happens to him, tries to bring awareness, tries to, motivate the next person and says, look, listen, man, you know, I went through this, but I was able to overcome the situation. These men, they either get to, they get bashed, they get, made fun of, they get turned into memes. I could just keep going. It's a shame that instead of helping them with their mental health, right, we make the situation worse. And it's crazy that there's men and women out here doing it. Like, growing up, right, being a survivor, turning from a survivor into a warrior, I used to always hear them say, don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself, right? And I used to always wonder why. Like, why would they say don't blame yourself if, because for a second I thought it was my fault. I could, listening and watching these videos, I'm sitting here like, damn, like they really did these kids real dirty. And it's crazy how the same guy, right? It's the same guy that ended up molesting one of the Menudo kids. Why why is it so hard to believe, right, that a little boy can get abused? And instead of helping them, right, we bash them and bring them down. Hmm. It's so many cases, so many situations like this. I would like to ask y'all, right? Mothers, fathers out there, whoever's in charge of, mothers, fathers out there, right? If your child was, sexually abused, would you sit here and let them get bashed or would you speak up? What makes people, what makes people sit here and bash a man because they're speaking on their story or bringing awareness? Like a lot of things out here just don't make sense. But let's get this John started, y'all. Right? We're gonna be reviewing and reacting to the Menendez brothers trial. So we're gonna start off with. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. We got the Menendez brothers fight for freedom, 48 hours, full episodes, right? So we're gonna check this episode out because it kind of like gives us a little intro of the story and much more. Shout out to those that are watching that is rocking out with a shorty. They have been rocking out with a shorty, yo, cause who listen, man, thanks to all those, subscribers that are out here sharing, liking the videos, helping the shorty bring awareness. We're here today. So I appreciate all of those that are here helping the shorty bring awareness. But, like I said, let's get this started. Are the Menendez brothers innocent or guilty? I feel as though, me personally, they should be free. Listening to everything that I've heard, these two brothers should have been free. I understand where people coming from. Oh, one was 21, one was 18. Think back when you was 21 and when you was 18. Did you have it all figured out? Did you go through what they go through? Have you taken a minute to, step out of your shoes and walk, step into their shoes, walk a mile in their shoes? I don't think people do that. But let's get it started. What these people are trying to say is, right, that they don't believe that the Menendez brothers killed their parents because they was abused. They felt as though that they killed their parents because they wanted the will, because they wanted the money. They were being greedy. What's crazy is, right, I was just looking at a video where I'm trying to figure out why didn't this judge or, the jurors or any lawyer, the DA, the lawyer, doesn't matter which lawyer, right? Because the ones defending him was trying to put the evidence out there. Why wasn't the pictures enough? There was some some type of proof that there was abuse in this case, and it was completely ignored. Completely ignored. I mean, listen, let me tell y'all something, right? When you go through this type of trauma, and apparently I think Eric was the one, right, that was sexually abused a week before they committed these murders. When you go through this type of trauma, you can never sit here and say that you're going to react like this, especially if you didn't go through this, if you're not experiencing this. You would have to at least relate to understand what these boys went through, been around it, seen something like it, for you to understand what these men, because they're men now. They were boys when it happened, men when they reacted. They were young men. They wasn't even fully grown. 18 and 21? 18 and 21, you're still making mistakes, still trying to figure out where you're going in life, what you want in life. Your brain isn't fully developed until you're 26. So that's the crazy thing. Like, I'm sitting here like, yo, either we lack knowledge. It ain't no other. A lot of people, right? And I'm just speaking in general, right? If it doesn't fit, right? If the shoe, listen, let's put it like this: if the shoe fits, wear that itch, right? And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But a lot of us nowadays lack. We lack ignorance. Yo, I swear to God, like we so ignorant to the facts. We lack intelligence. We lack wisdom. Like, I'm sorry to say it. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry.
My name is Cliff
A lot of family members were saying that they were being abused, and that fact is being ignored. Because it's rare to hear family members really sit here and say, "Yeah, he's being abused." No, she's being abused. It's kind of rare. Listen, man. I'm gonna be very honest. Like, these boys have family members saying, "Yes, it's true." Like, I think I was reading an article saying how the Menendez father, right? The boy's grandfather, the men's grandfather, was a sadist back in the days. So, I mean, you gotta realize, man. Listen, man, I can go deep into this shit, but for real, for real, I can go deep into this, yo. It's just a shame because they were boys. I think another thing that I've noticed is because a woman lawyer defendant, they didn't really like the lawyer either. I mean, it's so much, right? Netflix made it seem, Netflix really made them seem so horrible. But it's funny that if you pay attention, right, the truth isn't between the lines. Even though it's a show, it's supposed to, they're supposed to switch it up. They're supposed to, it's a drama show. Like it's not going to be completely like their story. That's why I don't go too much by. When I see a show, I take the message, and then I go out and I do my research. So I'm not just going to go by what Netflix said. I went out and I did my research. I took all the videos that people were sending me, and I went and I gathered out more videos. I watched, the majority of them, and then we're going to continue watching them here together. And y'all going to help a Shorty out and figure this out. Like, were they innocent? Were they guilty? Me so far right now, I feel as though like they're innocent. They've served enough time in there. They need to come out. Why they still there? But we're gonna find out. We're gonna watch this all the way through because when this happened, I was, I don't even think I was thought of yet, but I was born in that year. And the OJ Simpson and every other case took over this because I don't remember this. But I do remember the allegations that were happening with Menudo. And Menudo was a group that my mom used to listen to when I was young. Like, and I heard the rumors, but shit, I was young. Who paid attention to that when they're kids? Who pays attention to that as a kid? Trippers. I don't know what this is. No trolls allowed. Like, if y'all not gonna be on topic, if y'all not gonna be respectful, listen, this ain't the channel. I will ban people. Like, I don't need the distractions. But anyways, back on topic, right? If y'all was put like if y'all was in these young men's shoes, right? If y'all was in their shoes, let me ask y'all a question, right? If y'all had parents that was abusing you your whole life, right? And didn't matter where you went, right? You couldn't really leave. Doesn't matter if you're 21, right? Some people really, I don't know if y'all is a name for it called Stockholm syndrome, right? Some victims cannot leave. They stay there, right? And it seems like that's what kind of like Eric had, right? What's crazy is, right? People say they could have ran away. They could have did this. They could have did that. How? When you're in fear. When you're in fear, and the ones putting you in fear are the ones that are supposed to be protecting you. It's not like, oh my God, somebody else outside the house was putting them in fear, right? And they can come to the ones that are supposed to protect them and they protect them. No, that's not the case. The ones that were supposed to be protecting them, helping them, were the ones abusing them. It's not that easy. I wish people could actually really sit down and really think, switch places with people, walk a mile in someone's shoes for 1 second, right? So that y'all can understand what, really happens in the mind of somebody that's being abused like that. Being sexually abused, right, is not something easy to deal with. Whether it's physical, whether you just getting, abused with belts, sticks, extension cords, 2x4s, like these are all, events that will leave trauma in your life. Tragedies that would leave somebody being victimized. And it's not something easy to come out of. It takes years of therapy for some people to, actually get the proper help to be able to, get out of that depression stage, out of that it was my fault type stage. It really does. Because a lot of them, a lot of people that be abused, right? I'm a survivor. I'm a warrior. I'm not a victim. That victim was in the past. I've overcome my situation, right? And it took a while for me to overcome that situation. So I could, I understand where the Menendez brothers are coming from. I could sit here, walk them all in their shoes, and really, really understand. I've been through it. I've seen it. I've overcame it. And I feel as though that these boys needed to be in some type of mental facility, right? Get some type of rehab, getting help for what they went through instead of being in jail. What was crazy is, right? One was 18, one was 21. They could have ran away. How? if their monsters was right there, their abusers was right there, what chance did they have? Do you know that sometimes parents are like octopuses? Right? Sometimes you try to leave this door, and it doesn't matter where you go. It's like every angle you take to leave and run away, there's somebody that knows that parent of yours. And boom, you're caught. You got to come right back home. And who do they believe? The parent. Why? It's something that I've noticed ever since I was young. That for some reason, kids ain't nothing but liars when it comes to adults, right? Nah, I take the time and I listen to kids. And I listen to both sides. I don't just listen to one. Because there's three sides: the side of this person, the side of that person, and the whole story. But yeah, I guess to each his own. Let's get back to this because I can't sit here and judge these boys the way that everybody's been judging. I mean, these men. I keep saying boys because at this time, to the videos that we're reacting, they were boys. They were young men. Did anybody ever think that this young man was angry? He was mad. He didn't know how to lash out. That was his only way of trying to draw the attention, trying to get out what he really wanted to get out, but didn't know how to get it out. Yo, people expect for people that have been sexually abused to just walk out there like life is normal. Like it's so easy to just talk about what they went through. Like it's really that easy. And especially when it comes from people that are supposed to protect you. No, man, when you go through some type of trauma like this, the lash out is something that's unpredictable. Like when we go through this, we don't listen, man. Some people turn to drugs, some people turn to alcohol, some people end up doing the same thing that's been done to them. And it's like, yo, this shit is crazy. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Shout out to Empress Lonely on Love, yo. Go make sure y'all check her out. Y'all like YouTube gossip, celebrity gossip. You know, Empress Lonely One Love is the next Wendy Williams. Yo, shout out to her, yo. Make sure y'all go check her out. But she do be having some great topics on, great conversations, like real life topics outside of YouTube gossip and stuff like that. But if y'all interested, make sure y'all go check her out. But blessings, blessings, Empress Lonnie One Love. Yo, this Menendez brothers case is crazy, yo. I saw the series first on Netflix, then I got the movie on pause. I didn't even know there was a movie, so I'm trying to see. Like this shit is crazy. Like the videos, I got so many videos that I've been sent. They're not the videos that I've been finding on my own. The trials are long as hell. So we're gonna start off with clips and videos. Like I feel as though that these young men were done dirty. Like it's like, yo, people shocked that they ended up and they turned around and killed their parents. I'm over here like, really? How about y'all walk a mile in their shoes? Like this shit is crazy. Empress, I was dead. I'm sitting here like, yo, that was really a side chick. Like, what the heck? A psychologist messing with the side chick, though. Like, all this was crazy. But see, people felt like, you know what gets me mad about people? Like, hello, the man had money, he had power. And y'all telling me that it was that easy for these kids to just run away. These two young men had a secret that could have put this man behind bars for years. What's crazy is like, yo, man, when you're young, you don't really think about shit the right way. Like, I felt as though they just wanted to get out. They wanted freedom. They didn't want to keep being manipulated, abused by their parents. There was no way out. Like, believe it or not, a survivor, me going from a survivor to a warrior, it's not easy to escape your parents back then. I keep saying that shit, man. Parents, whether you living with your mom by herself, or whether you with your dad by yourself. Listen, man, when your parents are well known, right, and well respected, they're like a freaking octopus. Every arm is everywhere. You could go this way, and somehow, some way, somebody over there knows them, and boom, you're caught. You can go this way, you're caught. You go that way, it doesn't matter where the fuck you try to hide, where the fuck you try to run to. Back then, our parents found us. We could hide under a rock like Patrick from fucking SpongeBob. And they'll find us. That's why I'm over here like, people are really so ignorant, or they just choose to be ignorant. They choose it. I swear to God, they choose it because it's like logic isn't logic and sense doesn't make sense. Even back then. Like, what the fuck? Nah, Empress, they wasn't lying because me looking into it, there was evidence of the abuse and the judge didn't let it go in. Like, why? Why hide that evidence, Judge? Was you paid off by certain members of the family? The ones that were, against this, that didn't want this to come out? Because that's what it seems. I feel as though this judge was also paid. Because there were still people trying to, shut them up. While so many family members were saying that yes, they were being abused from both sides, mom and dad's side. And Eric had it the worst. He was being abused by his mom and his dad. Let's be real, people. The two people that were supposed to protect these boys, these young men, were the same people abusing them. Tell me, where is the escape at? How do they run? Where do they run to when the world respects them? This is making no sense. And once again, like I tell people, man, if I'm going to speak on one, I speak on it all. Guess what I'm going to speak on next? Because this is going to be part one to the Menendez case, right? But tomorrow, we're going to start on Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is Empress. Oh snap! WWE. Vince McMahon, CEO of he's not no more. Right now, he's being investigated for abuse towards the men, the women, and much more. He's been investigated for the longest. Now, I guess all these powerful men being investigated for freaking like all of them, everybody in Hollywood, the industry, the music industry, everywhere, WWE, all these places, all these big people, all these powerful people are being investigated right now for all of this, for abuse, molestation, sexual trafficking, all that. Like, this is crazy. But I'm gonna pause it right there, right? Facts, Empress, it is sick. And I'm gonna say this, right, because I could relate. I could relate. And I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna tell you that them thoughts when you are being abused cross through your head, right? And it's crazy that I'm older now, right? I'm looking at this case. It kind of did trigger me when I was really, watching it. I'm not gonna sit here and lie, but I'm older. I'm able to control, the stuff that I'm going through, the emotions that I go through. I'm able to control my bipolar. All right, let's put it like that. Now that I'm older, right, I could sit here and I like, damn, because when my brother told me that he was going through the same thing that I was going through with our stepdad, it was like we both wanted to, but what's crazy? The fear of being separated from my brother stopped me. I couldn't be away from my brother. He couldn't be away from me. And what's crazy that at one point I did leave the house, right? And I came back for him. But when I came back for my brother was so damaged, so messed up in the head that it was impossible to help him. But I had to get me together in order to help my brother. I was forced to grow up at a real early age. And I keep telling people that. Like, I was forced to be a woman. Listen, man, I wasn't even, like, damn. That's why I love that Britney Spears song, I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman, because it's like, when you're forced to grow up ahead of time, it's like you don't have a childhood. You don't have nothing really in reality but adulthood when you're forced. So it's kind of like, trying to run away from these type of situations, like I tell people, it's hard for me to speak on it, yeah. But trying to run away from a parent that is abusing you is not easy, especially when the community really respects this individual. It's not as easy as y'all want it to be. It's not. So shout out to those people that are watching this and they haven't been through these type of traumas, these type of situations, and they could understand. If they could understand, why can't other people understand? That's what's That's what my mind can't comprehend. I'm being real honest. If certain people that have not been through these type of traumas could understand, could take the time and analyze this, right? And put two and two together, what makes it so hard? Oh, my bad. I don't know. Probably the envy, the hate, the I don't give a fuck type shit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. People, I think they was on some killed or be killed. They was probably being a little paranoid right there because I feel as though their parents, because I see that they was already going to therapy. They had a psychologist. I feel as though that their parents was probably going to take the route that a lot of parents do. Mines did it. 302 them, make them seem like they're crazy so that nobody believes them. And it was crazy. Them being there with therapy and the psychologist, them doing the shit that they did, it backfired on them. So what their parents was working on was actually working. And a lot of parents do that. Like, believe it or not, there's a lot of parents that'll sit here and put their kids on therapy, make them seem like they're crazy their whole life, and they're really not. That's the fucked up part about it. Some of it is to cover the abuse that's going on, whether it's, sexual or not. Because everything is not sexual. Don't believe that, don't think that every abuse that happens is sexual. Don't think that, right? But whether it's, through hitting them with objects or molesting or sexually abusing them, it's still abuse. Mental abuse is still abuse. There's different types of abuse and it happens. So so y'all telling me that doesn't strike odd? The boys do something bad, the father sends them into the bathroom and takes a shower with the boys. Why? That doesn't strike y'all as odd. And this is coming from a family member that witnessed this. This was said alleged. I got the trial. I got parts of the trial already. I got, there's a lot of people sending me videos for the Menendez case, right? So shout out to everybody that's sending me those videos. I found a few trials myself, right? So thank you to all those that are sending. Them trials are long as hell. But yo, shout out to y'all because we're gonna get to them trials. That's why I said this is part one, right? This live today is part one. Like we're gonna last as long as my earthly goods last me, all right? But what? Oh, I gotta go to.
We're alone.
All right, give me 1 second, guys. I'm hoping that y'all can still see me. All right, so it looks like we're not gonna be able to play this one right here. So let me reload over here. I'm gonna have to. Let me see. Am I still live? Because it's telling me that my thing has been suspended. Hold on. All right, I took the video off. I'm gonna switch the video. All right, you don't want me to play this. Damn, y'all suspended my video? Like, shit. Hold on 1 second. I'm about to fix this. I don't know if I'm still live, though. Like, hold on 1 second. All right, here we go. We back. All right, I'm about to fix this. Give me 1 second. All right, I can't play what? CBS News? Screw you then. I got more videos. Damn, that was showing me a little bit about it. All right. So let's go to. I'm gonna have to edit that. That video I'm not gonna be able to post, so that's gonna have to come out. I don't know how to edit through YouTube, so this is gonna be a live that's gonna be taken down and put back up. So I might as well edit it and just put it into clips as soon as I get a chance. Why y'all gonna stop my stream like that? I know I don't have fair use. That's why I got my damn freaking disclaimer. Bitch ass niggas. Where the fuck my disclaimer at? They just played the shit out of me right now. I'm cussing. See? Yeah, they just played the shit out of me. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Fair use allows limited use of copyrighted material without permission from the copyright holder for purposes such as criticism, parody, news reporting, research, and scholarships and teaching. Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed on this video or any video, including the Writers for Life Brings You to Let's Talk About It podcast, do not reflects on the opinions of your Shorty Racheal and the members of the Writer for Life podcast. Everything we talk about is allegedly and is our opinion. Our videos are not recommended for minors. Everything we talk about and do is meant for educational purposes and also entertainment. Please keep in mind that the majority of our videos are for educational purposes only. This world is crazy. I would say shady. Ironic, right? Nowadays, you can't trust no one. When you do, niggas be having their panties all in a bunch, thinking that they own one. Saying the things that you accomplished in life is theirs and that you owe them one. I can't afford another strike. Man, y'all playing with me, yo. Y'all playing with me. I didn't say nothing wrong. But I'm about to beat y'all with a disclaimer, though. Y'all, man, YouTube keep playing with me, yo. I don't know why they do that. Like, don't.
It is one of...
All right, so fuck it. We're going to continue, man. I got more videos. Like I said, shout out to everybody that sent me all these videos. I appreciate y'all. Yo, man, we ain't going to stop. We're going to continue to talk, man. Let's break this joint. I feel like they innocent. I don't know. Y'all let a Shorty know what y'all think. Me, in my opinion, I feel like they're innocent. I'm just not going to play no more CBS videos, right? Screw you, CBS. He played the shit out of me. He almost got my video flagged. I just think it's because I was playing the CBS video. But hey, I guess let's see what they got to say over here. Man, y'all assholes.
Court TV's most legendary trials, the Menendez brothers, Lyle and Eric. In 1989, their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, were murdered. It was a shocking crime scene that looked like a mob hit. Jose and Kitty were shot several times with a shotgun as they sat on their couch eating ice cream and watching a movie. At first, Lyle and Eric were treated as victims. But when their therapist's ex came forward with information that the brothers had confessed...
It's funny how they say ex. Like, did y'all fail to mention that was the side chick? Like, he was playing his wife with this Shorty, telling her that he was going to leave his wife and her. And you a whole psychologist. Like, you sitting here and using yours. Like, he should be in jail too. Like, this nigga out here fucking playing with his patients. Like, he playing house with his patients. Like, yo. Empress said, why they blame the mob? They were scared. Like, I feel as though they were scared. So, basically, listen, man. One was 18, one was 21. Right? So I feel as though personally they were scared. Man, because I'm telling you, like, to be real honest, like how many people that have been abused probably committed a crime out there, right? Got their vengeance and haven't gotten caught. They didn't really want to kill their parents, they just wanted a way out. It was like they were trying to find ways to do it. And I guess until one day they just built the courage, like, fuck it. It's killed or be killed. We're gonna do it today. Like, they were paranoid. And that's what's crazy is they wasn't just going through physical abuse. They were being sexually abused and they were being mentally abused. Like, I heard one therapist say that the mind, even though, one was 18 and one was 21, that their mentality was as of the age of a 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, because of the way their parents were bringing them up. I mean, it's funny, yeah, because what's crazy is, right, when you're scared, you make the craziest mistakes ever. You make the dumbest decisions ever when you're scared. That's why, like, when we're scared, I don't think we should make any decisions. I tell my kids that, like, when you're scared, you need to think logically. Because if not, you're going to make the dumbest decision ever and it's going to backfire. I tell them always, like, don't be scared. Don't do things out of fear because you're not going to be able to do things logically. Now you're thinking out of paranoia. Your emotions is taking over. You have to control your emotions. But see, they was young. Nobody to guide them, nobody to talk to them. The people that tried to talk to them, like the aunts, cousins, and uncles, the parents didn't let them. And what's crazy is these family members came forward saying they saw, them doing these things. But why these family members didn't step up and fight? You see, like, it's so many questions, right? Yes, action on impulse. That's some real shit. Hey, Empress knows a lot, yo. Empress knows a lot. Like, yo, wait, my face just turned. I'm like, wait, Empress knows about this. Like, oh shit, let me find out. Empress. Ah shit. Welcome to Philly, baby. We got Philly in the house. Yo, let me find out, Empress. Yo, Empress knows a lot, y'all. Don't be sleep on Empress, yo. She know a lot of, a lot of medical terms and shit. Yo, I didn't know that. Let me find out. Let's get back on this.
During therapy sessions, everything changed. Eventually, the brothers were charged. At trial, they claimed to be the
Real
victims of
shit.
sex
Facts,
abuse and
Empress.
violence. The first jury could not reach a unanimous verdict, and there was a mistrial. But when they were retried, they were convicted and sentenced to life without parole. Tonight, the brothers have a new advocate who is calling for them to be released from prison. Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh shit.
Rosie
Hey,
has spent time
Rosie.
with them and recently released an interview with Lyle on her podcast. And tonight, Rosie O'Donnell joins us live for the hour as we investigate the Menendez brothers' murder convictions. I'm Benny Baldan. Great to have you with us here in Closing Arguments. This is going to be an extremely interesting hour, so I hope you can stay with us as we take a look at one of Court TV's most legendary trials. Right now, by the way, it is streaming on our other channel, Court TV Legendary Trials. I'm talking, of course, about the Menendez brothers. When Court TV was born many moons ago in the early 90s, this was really, before O.J. Simpson, this case was the first case that really caught fire nationally and really, to a certain extent, polarized many people on what they thought of these defendants, of these accused murderers. And the way the public was polarized, the same thing happened in the jury room in their first trial. They had two juries for the first trial, one for each brother, but none of them could reach a unanimous verdict in the case. And they were retried and they were convicted. But the part of the trial that caught everyone's attention and really stirred up the debate was, were they or were they not victims of sexual abuse? Were they or were they not the victims of the violence of their father, Jose Menendez, the man in their lives who controlled everything that they did? Was he the monster that they were describing in the courtroom, or was it two spoiled kids who had all this money in the world but wanted access to all of their parents' money as well, who were just spoiled and in an act of greed murdered their parents so they can enjoy the money without all the hassle of having a mom and dad? I mean, that was what the debate was. Ultimately, they were convicted, and of course, there were a lot of interesting legal issues in the case. So there were appeals upon appeals, but they've lost all those appeals. There's no appellate court to go to at this point. But it's not over until it's over in these cases. Whenever there's a conviction, we've seen it happening in California with Scott Peterson, allegations of new evidence, trying to get a new trial. Well, that's
Once again, like I said, I feel as though like these young men should have gotten into some type of rehabilitation, some type of mental, facility, so they could have found some help and stuff like that, right? Um, with the trauma that they was dealing with, not jail. Jail is like, for people that have suffered this type of trauma, jail's not the place. I mean, what's crazy is how they've made it, how they survived jail, right? Like, with their story being out in the media like that, especially back then, like, yo, listen, man, I know the jail stories from back then on to now. Like, it's crazy how they survived being in jail. And like, I'm gonna be honest, like, they've had enough suffering. They should be out. Why they still in there, I'm not understanding. Especially with, is the judge still alive? Like, why? Like, shouldn't they charge the judge? Like, you sat here and you didn't. let the evidence that proved their innocence go through. I don't know if it was because you felt some type of way that they had a female lawyer or something, like, or because in that era, men couldn't be, it was impossible. He's a man. That can't happen. Like, and if it did happen, they were, hopping on rainbows and shit. Like, really? Really? Mm, it's fucked up.
That's the allegation here as well, is that there are new things that if the first jury or first juries heard may very well have changed the absolute complexion of the trials. It may have changed the verdict. So with this new evidence, the question is, do they deserve to be released from prison? Do they deserve a second trial? Or is it, again, going to be another attempt to be released that will go without any relief? But this is real, because there's two new things that are pretty significant. The first is, remember the allegations by the brothers that they're victims of sexual abuse. People are like, what? Really? Where did that come from? Well, now their father, Jose, was a big-time music record executive. And one of the groups that was on his label was Menudo, which is for those who don't know Menudo, young boys from Puerto Rico. Ricky Martin was a member of the group originally.
Facts. That's how I learned about Ricky Martin, because my mom used to listen to that goddamn group so much, it got on my nerves. I didn't really like the group, but I'm not going to sit here and lie. Ricky Martin? Yes, I was a little fan of Ricky Martin when I was little. So it's like,
and then they would replace the members with young kids, always. One former member of that group says that he was sexually assaulted and raped by Jose Menendez. Brand new information, brand new revelation. No one knew about this at the time of the trials. Would that have changed the jury's mind? Also, a letter that was written by Eric Menendez to his cousin has now been uncovered. It's been uncovered for a couple of years, but it was nowhere to be found at the time that these cases were tried. And in this,
so where was this evidence at back then? Why was evidence being held from this, from this trial? Why wasn't it being, admitted into it? What was these, were these judges, once again, were these judges also paid off by the company because they didn't want this secret really getting out? They didn't want to make it seem like, one of their executive producers, was like this. Like, come on, man. That's what it is. That's really what it is.
This letter, Eric alludes to being the victim of his father. And that was one of the issues for the jury. Are they really telling the truth? Or are they just making this up because they got caught? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, because someone else is talking about it. Joining me tonight, comedian, actress, author, producer, television personality, and now the host of the Onward podcast, where she is talking about this case, Rosie.
Yo, I didn't even know Rosie O'Donnell had any podcasts. I thought she was like, damn, okay.
O'Donnell joins us. Rosie, great to see you tonight.
Good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Welcome to our world of true crime, justice, and trials.
She just got gray hair.
Is this something that has always been a passion of yours, or is this a newfound interest because of this particular case?
Well, it's interesting, Vin. Years ago in 1996, when my talk show started, I received a letter from Lyle Menendez, a very long, involved, beautifully written letter that said that he had heard something I said in his defense.
How did Empress?
Back then, talking about the case, and he wondered if I had lived through something similar. And at the time, it was a very jarring conversation, and it kind of scared me. And I don't know that I was ready to discuss things, private things that belonged in our family. And I talked to Barbara Walters, who had just interviewed them at dinner with Cindy Berger, and she said, "Oh, Rosie, he's a manipulator. You don't want to get involved with him." And so I never wrote it back, and I always felt guilty about that. But I'm not somebody who gets involved in true crimes. I don't listen to the Serial or, all of those things. And like you were saying, Scott Peterson, I have no understanding or no.
Yo, she said I'm not somebody that gets involved in true crime and da-da-da. Yo, only Rosie O'Donnell. Like, I just didn't think she was funny when I was little. Shit, I was a Nickelodeon and a Disney baby. Shit, don't judge a Shorty, all right? Don't judge me. Don't judge me. The Slime Awards was my shit back then. Like, I swear to God. And, Rosie O'Donnell was always there. Nick Cannon. If you watched Nickelodeon when, back in the 90s, you know what I'm talking about. That was the era of, Face, Nick Jr. and all that stuff. Like, come on.
Never had any interest in that case. But the Menendez brothers watching them on trial in their first trial when they were allowed to have a defense, when they had 51 witnesses in their defense, and the DA didn't win because there was a hung jury. So what happened is they decided, the DA, whether or not this is legal, you can tell me, that at the second trial, presided over by the same judge that had been presided over the first one, the boys were not allowed to use any sex abuse evidence.
Wow, see?
How is that fair? So it's like the DA lost fairly, and then they changed the rules, and they stacked the deck, and they didn't allow them to have their own defense.
That's true, because I was watching a couple of clips, and that's why I keep asking the question. Did they not like the fact that they was being represented by a woman lawyer? You know, did they not like the fact that a woman lawyer was representing two young men that were saying that they were, the reason why they killed their parents was because they was being sexually abused by them? Mostly the dad. And then we're talking about somebody that, is real powerful now, like, somebody that's real, how can I say, respected, somebody that's well known. Almost like a celebrity. Like, come on, let's be real.
So I go about my life. I'm not following the case at all. And I see the new documentary, Boys Betrayed, on Peacock, where Roy from Menudo was telling his story. And I felt compelled to reach out to them and say, I know what it's like to grow up in a family with that kind of dynamic. And I want to understand what happened more fully, because I believe them. I believe that they were incested. And there's a lot of evidence to prove that they were. There's physical evidence, there's photographs, there's cousins and first-person accounts. So I wrote a little TikTok, did a little TikTok, and then Lyle's wife, Rebecca Menendez, reached out to me and said, Lyle would like to talk to you. And that was in the spring.
Yo, I've noticed that Lyle, listen, man, Lyle ain't afraid of the limelight. Yo, he don't care. Like, I've noticed that on every interview, everything. Like, Eric is a little more conservative. Like, he's a little more to himself. But Lyle, I keep saying Lyle's a little more shot out. I wouldn't put it past it that Lyle was the one that came up with the idea. When his brother told him, this, and this is happening, and he was like, oh, for real? Like, that would piss him off as a brother. Like, damn, you made us do this to each other. You said you was going to stop, but you kept going. Like, him in his head is like, oh, it stopped, but this is why. Because now you're hurting, you're abusing my brother. And it's like, at that moment, Lyle probably felt as though this is my time to show you I care. I'm sorry. I apologize, for everything that they made me do to you. Like, I don't know. I'm just taking the minute right now, right? And putting my feet in his shoes and walking a mile in it. Trying to, think like him, feel like him. You see where I'm coming from? Like, if you take a minute, right? And if you had the chance to switch places with somebody that you knew, right? Would you walk a mile in their shoes? Right? If you was able to think like them, see like them, feel like them, understand why they thought and felt the way they did, would the way you see them now make you see things different? I mean, it's just a question. I'm just asking a question.
And we've been talking a lot and come to know each other. And I support who he is as a person and what he's done. And I feel 34 years for a crime that occurred at a time when our culture was not ready to believe that fathers rape their boys as well as their daughters. And I think that if Eric was a girl and Lyle about to go off to his second semester in Princeton, the secret of incest is revealed 5 days before the murder. It's crazy. A tinderbox, a house full of incest and secrets. All the secrets were revealed, and 5 days later, their parents were dead. That doesn't seem to me like premeditation.
So it doesn't. It seemed like the kids were scared. They didn't know what was going to happen to them. Like, they lashed out. They was like, fuck it. If we're going down, or if they're going to kill us, we might as well, live life to its fullest. Listen, man, you can't sit here and tell me that when you go through something like this, if you was to go through something like this, that you would know how to react. For real, for real. Because grown adults go through this. And you're going to sit here and still ask that grown adult, why didn't you run? When you don't even know the full story yet. And this is something I don't wish on nobody. But my thing is that people sitting here playing with this shit when it's serious. It's something real. You don't even joke about this. You don't.
So let's get to some of this new information. And I want to start first. You spoke on your podcast with Lyle Menendez about this letter that Eric had written. And let's take a listen to that first.
My father's sister, her son, Andy, Eric used to correspond with him in the early 80s and late 80s, I guess. They were both teenagers. And she found a letter that Eric wrote, and it had been in storage for 25 years. It wasn't about directly all about the sex abuse, but referenced it pretty graphically. And so, amazingly, she did not actually give it to anybody. My attorneys or anything. She gave it to Barbara Walters for a show because she just didn't think there were even any appeals going on. And, just so much time had passed by, she just didn't think about it. But eventually we saw it on that show. People investigated and realized that it was a letter that no one had found, had not been presented at trial, had been in storage for 25 years because her son had died in 2003. So she just packed everything up. And so it's very powerful evidence because it was written a month prior to my parents' death.
And that's the significance. You're talking about corroboration, right? You're alleging something. Did you say anything about it before the killing? And he did. Let's put it up here. We have a piece of that letter. This is from Eric Menendez to his cousin, Andy. It's still happening, Andy, but it's worse for me now. I can't explain it. He's so overweight that I can't stand to see him. I never know when it's going to happen, and it's driving me crazy. Every night I stay up thinking he might come in. I need to put it out of my mind. I know what you said before, but I'm afraid. You just don't know Dad like I do. He's crazy. He's warned me 100 times about telling anyone, especially Lyle. Am I a serious wimpus? I don't know if I'll make it through this. I can handle it, Andy. I need to stop thinking about it. And that's Andy Cano, his cousin. And Rosie, this is corroboration. This is like when someone is sexually assaulted.
Why would the judge exclude this out the trial? Then they had this stored for years, and they found it back in 2003, and they couldn't even try to reopen the case back then until wow. Yeah, I think they need a freebie because listen, man. Y'all try to sit here and be in that situation. Y'all can't sit here and tell me, oh, I'm just going to run away. I'm going to do this. Like it's that easy when you've been abused your whole life. Man, I swear to God, people really naive.
Assaulted and they cry out to somebody, to a witness. I mean, it's him himself writing this letter to his cousin Andy, who testified at the first trial.
Correct. And this evidence really follows their story and their truth and what I believe to be the truth of the case. That here was a family and Lyle was sexually abused by the father until he was 8. He told a cousin who was 18. That cousin talked to her mother, the mother's sister, and it stopped. But what he didn't know was that the father had started with his 5-year-old brother. And it went all the way up until Eric was about to leave for college. He got into UCLA or USC, I believe. And his father said, "You're not allowed to live in the dorm." And he started to cry. This is right after Lyle came back from Princeton with his mother, where they set up his off-campus apartment.
That's crazy. Could the mom really have been jealous of the son, Eric, like that for real? Because I was really looking into that, and that's crazy. Like, could she have had some type of jealousy? Like in her head, was she really thinking that her son was taking her man? Could she have been really that sick in the head to think like that? Like, lady, you was abusing your oldest child with your husband. Y'all all sick. The brothers that sat here and kept their secret, they sick. The judge that sat here and withheld the evidence and didn't let it be shown or admitted it into trial. Like, I think all of them, they free Eric and free Lyle and put these niggas in fucking jail cell and see how they like it. For real. Like, is they serious? Everybody that knew about it, how about they lock them up? How about that? Or if not, you know what? No, we can't even build a casket for them because they didn't do it. They was just, but are they capable? If they knew it and kept it as a secret, are they capable of doing this? Would they hide more secrets like this? How many more secrets, from other people do they have that they know that are actually doing this and they're co-conspirators to it? Because that's what they are, conspirators. I'm curious. I'm about to start looking that up.
For him to start his second term. His life had sort of begun on the East Coast. He was a tennis player. He was set to start his life. They tried to indict them on the concept that they did this for money, but there was not enough evidence to do that. So when the second trial came about and they were stripped of their defense, yes, they were found guilty at a district attorney that was looking for a guilty verdict.
Now, the other revelation you've alluded to, but I want to play a piece of your interview with Lyle talking about this revelation that one of the members of Menudo, the group that was on Jose's record label, he was an executive at RCA. Take a listen.
I did not know Roy and didn't know the fact that he had been raped by my father and was another victim. Came out through a documentary investigation they were doing on the band separately from anything related to Eric and I.
So, and there's a picture of Roy who's making these allegations. So Rosie.
Oh shit, I remember the young boy. He was on my mom's CD case on one of her little albums. Oh snap. It was, a group of them, but he was right there. Oh shit, that's him.
With this petition that is being made, there's different ways a judge can react to all of it, right? Can dismiss it outright and say there's nothing here. But if the judge believes there is something here, what should what should be next? What should the process be? And you may or may not know I'm a former prosecutor, right? So that's the way I see the world.
Yes,
my concern is the truth. And I argue all the time that we shield the jury, whether it's stuff about the victim or stuff about the defendant, we shield them a little too much. And in this case, we were shielding them from what the allegations against the victim. All this stuff to me is very, very relevant for a jury. But you're thinking he should be released as a result of this or get a new trial as a result of this?
I would hope then that he gets sentenced, he and his brother. The first question that Lyle answered on the stand was, are you responsible for the death of your parents? And his answer was yes. They were young. They were 21 and 18 when this happened, and this was years and years and years of being built up, and they had no choice in their mind, the mind of a tortured and abused, sexually incested boy, that he made the only choice that felt safe to him. He felt he was going to be killed by the father, and the father had threatened that to him, had said, if you tell Lyle, I'm going to kill you, Eric. They were not only horrific sexual deviance, but there was, pins put in their body and their thighs and their penis. It was horrible, torturous abuse that they suffered for the first 20 years of their life. Yes, they were rich, but that doesn't change everything. It doesn't change an incestuous household and the tension within there at the unspoken secrets.
So you've got two people who've been convicted of murder. The ultimate sentence, they've had all their appeals. The appellate courts have not found any.
Real shit. Shout out to Rosie O'Donnell, man. She went from comedy to, true crime show. Shout out to her. I would have never expected Rosie O'Donnell to have, a podcast like this. I'm Empress Lonnie One Love. Real shit, yo. Everybody got a podcast now, yo. For real. Shit, we got the Writers for Life Bring Shooter. Let's talk about it podcast. We on one right now. Snap. But yo, shout out to her, yo. She's speaking some real facts though. Like, she not being comedic or nothing like that. Like, she's taking this serious. So shout out to her, man. It's a lot of people that still turn this into some comedy shit. Like, I think what these young men went through is something very serious, and a lot of people have not experienced trauma like this. So shout out to those that have not experienced this type of trauma, but can understand why these young men lashed out the way they did. Like, and to those that are sitting here taking this as a joke and, why are people even speaking on this? They've been in jail long enough. Long enough. A mother that was sexually abusing and a father that was doing the same thing. And then it turns out that the father was doing the same thing to the members of his group. Like, come on, man.
Any reason to send it back. So this is new evidence, which does kind of open the door a little bit at this point. And you're saying re-sentence these two.
Yes, that they should be sentenced for manslaughter, which if they had those charges, they would have been out 10, 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
They've been in 34 years. 34 years. Yes, they were abused the first 20 years of their life in horrific ways, and they've been imprisoned for the next 34 years of their life. These men at 55 and 53 have never known freedom. They have never had a day of violence before that night, nor the 34 years following. Neither of them. And Lyle is one of the most respected inmates there in San Diego and in all of the California system, truthfully. He's gotten his college degrees. He started organizations for sexually abused inmates. He started the beautification project of the prison system based on the Norwegian system that he studied. He's a brilliant, kind, and loving man, and he knows what happened to him. And I think for victims all over the world, freeing the Menendez brothers would free them as well, emotionally and spiritually.
So I guess the question is, and I don't know if a judge is ever going to take that leap. I mean, it could happen, but bring in the mother, bring in have perhaps some level of a hearing to at least test the veracity of the allegations by Roy from Menudo. Take a look at this letter, verify that. And then the question is, how do you get, though, from being a first-degree murderer to be resentenced? You have to be recharged. I mean, if the prosecution doesn't agree to it.
There is a line to resentencing, especially for children, for people who are considered children without their brains fully formed at 26, I believe it is. And they were 21 and 18. So there's a special track on that for resentencing on people who fit into that, who's committed their crime before 1990. And the men committed their crime in 1989. So they are, available for this new track that is now on the books. And I'm hoping that.
Yeah, I mean, it's time for them to get some type of freedom, yo. Rosie is spitting some gems right here. Blessings. Uncle L, how you doing this morning? Everyone speaks so positively about those brothers. That's a fact. The only ones I see speaking negatively would be, I would say certain like YouTubers, certain podcasters and stuff like that. And I feel as though like the ones that are speaking negatively, the ones that are saying things that are messed up are the ones that haven't been through nothing, haven't even nearly experienced something close to this to understand what's going on. So at the end of the day, like, yeah, enough is enough. They need a freedom. I'm definitely going to do a part 2 on this. I got to edit this live because they almost striked my jaw, man. I don't own rights to the video, y'all. Like, what's up? I'm just reacting. I'm entitled. Copyright 107, y'all. I'm about to disclaimer the shit out of them. Like, I was reacting to the video. Oh no, there was people besides the president that were speaking highly of them, like, school members. I got videos. That's what I'm saying. Like, even before this, like, where I'm coming from, there was people that was on their side. So there were people explaining why they, started lashing out like this. If they were, they went from being happy-go-going kids, right, to being so depressed, to being so shutting down, to starting lashing out. They started doing robberies. They started doing so many things. You see where I'm coming from? Nobody took the time to sit here and figure out why these kids were lashing out the way they were lashing out. It's like the people that were speaking highly of them back then, they was being ignored. So besides the prison members, speaking highly of them, there were family members, there were friends that they had. There were, classmates and stuff that were speaking highly of them too. Yeah, it's only a few family members that don't want them out. And I feel as though those are the ones that encourage this type of stuff, the ones that hold the type of secrets because, I don't know, maybe deep down they're embarrassed, they're ashamed. But at the end of the day, instead of finding them help, y'all sat here and tortured them more. Like, if what they went through wasn't enough torture, they already felt like they couldn't go to nobody to tell what's going on because in their family, they was already being accused of being gay. You see where I'm coming from? Like, even like, come on, man. I feel as though like the jurors were also looking at them like that. The guys, the ones that sat here, like, yo, it's a lot that went down. Me looking into these videos, yo. Like, I'm sitting here like everybody failed them. The family, not the whole family, but the parents failed them. The system failed them. The therapist failed them. Everybody that was supposed to sit here and help these young men, these boys that were turning into young men, then they committed this crime, failed them. They did.
That the district attorney realizes that as a culture, we were not ready to accept the truth of what the Menendez brothers told us about our country and child sexual abuse.
Yep.
We were unwilling to believe it. And now as a nation, we have to right the wrong. We made a wrong judgment on these boys. And the district attorney's office acted in a way that was unethical. And in my opinion, unconstitutional. But as you said, they have had their time. But times have changed now. People with the sex scandals.
I agree.
Yeah, Uncle L, back then they were shaming them with, like, it's crazy how that one lawyer was sitting here saying, they was bashing them about their sexual preference more Eric than Lyle because of, Man, it's deep. When we get to the videos, we're gonna react to it so that way I don't confuse nobody. Y'all gonna hear it because I got the trial saved. They can't copyright me for the trial. So or they can't strike me. Fuck the copyright. It was a strike that almost got earlier. Fuck that copyright. That copyright ain't shit. But they almost striked me earlier with the video I was playing. Yeah, like they made it seem like if they was gay because of this and that. Like I'm sitting here, they really like they was going hard on him. Like, oh, we never heard of any girlfriends. Eric was like, there were girlfriends. That's why I'm saying I'm like, hold on, let me finish this. I don't want to go all over the place. Hold on. That's why I said when we get to the videos, there's gonna be more parts to this. Tomorrow we're gonna do Vince McMahon. Today we're doing this. We're talking about the Menendez brothers. But yeah, tomorrow we're also gonna talk about Vince McMahon. It is a lot of stuff going on. Like, blessings, young Rachel. Blessings. Yep. That's some facts, Empress. That's why I'm sitting here like, gay or gay or not, whether he's hopping on rainbows or not, grape is grape. Real shit. So Empress is right. She's not wrong on that. Like, that's why I give a shout out to the people that have not been through this type of trauma and understand. Yo, for real, for real.
With you there, 1,000%. You put these facts in front of a jury today, it's a different ball game, which is what I would suggest as a prosecutor. Listen, if there's new evidence, I want the truth to come out, and I want a jury to judge those facts and judge that truth and decide what this means. Rosie,
but there's a question whether or not a trial 30 years later, with some of the people no longer alive, the witnesses, would that be the best way, and how much it would cost? And there are 30 members.
I don't believe in the price for justice, though. Like, the price for justice is what it is, right? I mean, we want the truth to come out.
Right, but there's another avenue. There is another avenue for people who have served 34 years of their life in prison. If there is new evidence that would have changed, and to say there's another sexual assault victim would have done a lot towards believing these boys back then.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe that Roy Rosello is a hero, and that I hope that other members of any group that Jose Menendez was responsible for will come.
Man, she not wrong, man, because I remember growing up in the 90s, they spoke a lot about the group members of Menudo, right, being sexually assaulted. And let's not forget that Ricky Martin was one of them that spoke on a lot of the incidents that happened while he was under the group Menudo. Like, that's what's crazy. I do know about he did a whole interview and everything. We're gonna bring that up since we're on this case, because I did this is crazy. I did not know that he was one of the members, like the Menendez brother's father. Like, this is crazy. I'm older now, so I could look at this, break it down, knowing what I know, especially damn. Like, yo, man, I hope they get their freedom enough. And when they do get their freedom, like, listen, when they do come out, they're gonna need therapy. So I hope they, they find some type of counseling and stick with it, because they're going to need it. They've been so long behind a jail cell that they're gonna have to get adjusted to this whole new world. Like, what the world was when they was out is completely different to what it is now. Like, this is crazy. That's some real shit, Empress. That's some real shit.
Including all the former Menudo members.
Rosie O'Donnell staying with us. I'm not letting you go, Rosie. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the evidence that prosecutors presented in the case, and how does that jive with everything that we're hearing now, plus coming up next hour.
In Saratoga County, New York, it was a miracle. 9-year-old Charlotte Cena abducted early Saturday night from a...
Girl, locked in a room for hours at a time.
On Court TV.
Shortly after the killings, Lyle Menendez began to spend money, a lot of money. On Thursday, August the 24th, he, in the company of his brother, purchased 3 Rolex watches and some money clips. On September the 8th,
Empress funny as shit. I mean, they probably would. Listen, man, they married them while they was in jail. I mean, they don't get no conjugal visits. So shit, man. These females, when these men get released, they're gonna be out here like some cowgirls riding some stallions. They're gonna be like, get up. Get up. Get up. That's how it is, Diddy. Papi. On some real shit, man. They want them. They gonna see what the fuck they been missing. Like, damn, man, I've been waiting so long. They've been waiting years to meet up with these men. Yo, I think one of them got kids. I was looking at the video somebody sent me. I was like, how the fuck he got kids? If he I'm like, oh shit, they got wives. Yo, I'm dead. Yo, if these men get free, these females are gonna be out here like some thirsty cowgirls riding stallions. I'm telling you, man. These niggas better be ready. Yo, I'm dead. I wonder their why. Yo, only emperors. I'm dead. I'm done. Yo.
8th of 1989, 19 days after the killings. A life insurance policy, which had been procured earlier by Jose Menendez, was paid to the defendants. The policy cumulatively was for $650,000, and over a period of a week between September the 8th and September the 15th, $325,000 was paid out to each defendant. Lyle Menendez returned to the Princeton, New Jersey area after a memorial service for his parents, which was held in Los Angeles on August the 25th of 1989. Lyle Menendez had been a student at Princeton University in the spring of 1989, and the family had lived in the township of Princeton before moving to California earlier. During the initial few days of his stay in Princeton, Lyle Menendez hired bodyguards to guard him. Lyle Menendez and his bodyguards traveled around Princeton in limousines during this period.
There's a piece of the opening statement in the first trial against Lyle Menendez. There were two juries in that first trial, one for each brother, but just one trial. And there were times when the jury came in and out, and you'd have one jury in, one jury out. But that was part of their argument, was these two young boys, the motivation was the money. They wanted the money. You know, there was the life insurance plus all the other assets that Jose had made through the years as a very, very successful music executive. Rosie O'Donnell, host of the Onward podcast, who has spent a lot of time with the Menendez brothers, is still with us.
Yo, this case is crazy.
Copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Fair use allows limited use of copyrighted material without permission from the copyright holder for purposes such as criticism, parody, news reporting, research, and scholarships and teaching. Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed on this video or any video, including the Writers for Life Brings You to Let's Talk About It podcast, do not reflects on the opinions of your Shorty, Racheal, and the members of the Writer for Life podcast. Everything we talk about is allegedly and is our opinion. Our videos are not recommended for minors. Everything we talk about and do is meant for educational purposes and also entertainment. Please keep in mind that the majority of our videos are for educational purposes only.
This world is crazy. I would say shady. Ironic, right? Nowadays, you can't trust no one. When you do, niggas be having their panties all in a bunch, thinking that they own one. Saying the things that you accomplished in life is theirs and that you owe them one. If I'm not mistaken, Empress, I think they said that the money, they spent it. They spent all their parent money. They bought cars. They stood in a luxurious hotel. They went all out on a spending spree with their parents' money. So that's why they was also being judged, because of their actions. Shit, like I said, like, man, in their head, from them, besides them being scared, not knowing what was going to happen to them, you see where I'm coming from? Like, they was like, fuck it. If we going to go down, we going to go down. Like, I feel as though they said, fuck it. Like, it was their parents' money. They didn't give a fuck. Like, all these years, their parents thought that they could buy them off with their money. You see where I'm coming from? All these years, their parents paid everybody off with that money. Like, to them, I felt as though it was bloody money. Like, fuck it. Let's just do what we gonna do. Like, listen, man, I'm putting myself in their minds for 1 second. Because, to be honest with y'all, I wouldn't have done it any different. For real, for real. When I was younger, I wanted to poison my stepfather. What stopped me? I couldn't bear the idea of being separated from my brother at all. When my brother told me what that man was doing to him, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, we both going through it, and he doesn't understand what stop means. And when I would try to reach out to my mom, it felt like she didn't care. She didn't have the time. So it was like, did I have the thoughts? Yes. You know what's the difference between me and them? They went through with their thoughts. They actually did it. That's what I'm saying. When you're going through this type of trauma, the thoughts that go through your head are not nice. They're not nice. They're not like, listen, man, the things you want to do to the person that's doing the stuff that's doing to you, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not going to sit here and lie.
Rosie, let me ask you about this. Some of the evidence in the case, and as a prosecutor, this is what gives me pause from just saying sentence to time served versus, okay, if there's enough new evidence, let's have a jury look at it and make the call here. Was that for me, it wasn't so much about the spending, it was about what they did beforehand, the planning of it all, the purchase of the guns with a fake ID, using someone else's name, making it look like a mob hit, shooting out the kneecaps, then hiring bodyguards after the killings to make it look like they still feared for their own lives, that someone's out there to get the Menendez family. And then allegations that Lyle tried to get someone to lie about what happened here. So when I put those pieces together, it makes me hesitate a little bit to just say, okay, time served, you're a victim of abuse.
Well, time served 34 years for the killing of the people who had sexually tortured and abused them for their entire lives. And it infiltrated into that family. And as I said, it was a tinderbox. And when Eric was finally told that he could not go to college, that the father would keep him a sexual prisoner, he told his brother what had been happening. The mother admitted that she knew it all along. And 5 days later, they were dead. It wasn't that.
See, that wasn't planned. That was just a spur of the moment. Like everything that happened in that moment led up to what happened at that other moment, to their parents being deceased. See, people is not taking the time to listen. They're hearing the story out like the jurors did, like the judge did, but nobody's taking the time to actually listen. What's crazy is if y'all was put in that type of situation, right, from a young age to the time that you finally built the courage to do something about what was happening to you, you don't know how you're going to actually do it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Some people got the balls, the cojones, the courage to do it. Others don't. Others don't. Like, enough is enough. If Eric and Lyle wouldn't have did this, right, what was happening to the Menudo member wouldn't have surfaced either. So what's crazy that one tragedy, right, caused for a lot of secrets to come out. If not, they would have been kept secrets. I hate people not realizing that shit. Like you said, nobody hears them, and then they acted. That's some facts. BK, Red, I can't see your name right. Wait, Brooklyn. Well, shout out to BK. My bad. Shout out to BK. I can't say his last name right. But yo, people out here is crazy, yo. Like they really judge them because of their actions. Like, what the fuck? You got motherfuckers talking about that they want to make a change, they want to make a difference, but still stuck in the same phase. You got motherfuckers talking about that they want to chase a bag, but stay at home and nag. Then when you ask them what they need, they say less talking, more opinions, no prayers with division. You ask me, y'all need to focus more on revision, rely less on television. How you want a future you have no vision? This world is just like fiction. What we need is more talking, less opinions, more prayers with no division. Before you come up with a conclusion, giving people false illusions, pick up a book, do your research, learn your history before you end up in a ditch making history. Division and religion isn't working. The only way to show God our faith and love is through our actions. Our convictions is the only thing that really unite us. One God, one nation, different beliefs. There's words that can't fly with the wind. There's insults that are not violent. Meanwhile, while you're home to them, they're killing you on the inside. If I was to tell you that I didn't hurt, I would be lying. Would you believe me if I was to tell you that there's truths that lie, especially when they're telling you that they're indifferent? Getting shoved to the side because you're different. There's a hug out there someone didn't receive today. Probably because of what was said about them yesterday. Probably because of the way they was dressed today. Not realizing that the one that they hate could be the one that saves their day. But you know what? Thanks to them, it's
another day in history where you get to flip the pages to your book and speak your story. And Lord, it's unholy. But you know what hurts the most? As I walk down the street and I see how easily we're divided. When we all should be united. One body, one mind, one soul, a million talents. Lord, without you, we're all divided. Forgive them, Lord, for they don't know any better. They don't know that there's someone out there that loves them.
That's some real shit, man. You never know what the hell somebody's going through unless you walk a mile in their shoes. So why judge before you listen? Yo, shout out, blessings. We got Realist Baby in the house. Yo, go check out Realist, y'all, man. Make sure y'all go check him out. He be having some really good topics, yo. Go check him out. Like, y'all, man, the world is asleep on Realist, yo. I've been listening to his lives lately, yo. He be on point with a lot of shit. He be spitting some gems. Make sure y'all go check him out, y'all.
That they were premeditated for months making a plan. This happened, they feared for their lives, and they went out, and what the first person who came into the bloody crime scene saw was that this was rage. This was rage. Mm-hmm. And it looked like a mob hit because of all the violence and rage. But can you imagine if you were them and you finally got freedom from it all? They lived a rich life their whole life. The father would wash them in gifts. They had many Rolex watches. Those were not their first nor their last. They were a wealthy, rich family.
And that's a fact. And money wasn't going to buy their happiness. Money wasn't going to buy their happiness. That's why at the end they said, fuck it. They spent all that money. They didn't care if they still broke or not. They really didn't. They just spent that shit. Like, fuck it. Like, people not realizing, man, like on some real shows, like I tell people, to me, I want my abuser to be in jail. Fuck the money. Fuck all that shit. I want him to be sentenced to pay not just to what he did to me, but to pay for what he did to my brother and every other victim that's out there. Because trust and believe, I'm not the only one. Once a predator, always a predator. Once a pedophile, always a pedophile. There's no change in that. There's no, not even, listen, not even castrating will fix that. You know what will fix that? Building a casket. The crazy part is, right, when you're the parent of a pedophile and you find out that you're the parent of a pedophile, do you kill? Do you build a casket for them too? Or do you build a jail cell for them? That's the question I'm stuck on. And as a parent, it's a very hard one to answer. Like, what would I do? I don't even know what I would do until, unless that shit happens. Because me personally, I don't see my kids doing that. I didn't even raise them to do any of this. You see where I'm coming from? It's like, it's not even about raising them to do that. Like, they don't get abused. You see where I'm coming from? I'm there. Like, we talk about everything. So I couldn't picture my boys doing something like that. But it's crazy because I came across a video not so long ago of a parent that ended up stabbing his child because he found out that his child was a pedophile. And he went to jail for it. And he didn't care about admitting it because he said, I'm not with that. So it's like, damn, as a parent, we could be capable of doing that. See? So it's like, we can't say we're going to do this until some shit like that happens. So listen, the way these boys acted out, it was all out of anger. Everything was out of emotion. All the anger that was built up through the years, the fear that they had, not knowing what to do, how to do it, when to do it. It was like, it was just all a spur of the moment, a heat of the moment thing. Like, they was just talking about everything one day, boom, like the paranoia kicked in, everything kicked in. That's why I say when they do come home, right? If they do go, they are able to get free and come home and see this world, what it is, meet their wives. You see where I'm coming from and stuff like that. They're going to need some serious counseling. They've been in that jail cell for so long. It's like, I feel as though they're used to that. And I've seen people come home after doing so long in jail and they still haven't gotten used to being out here. That's the crazy part. Oh snap, Riaz, you got something to say? Because I'm not gonna be on here longer. Like, hold on one second. Hold on one second.
I
Blessings,
just like,
Riaz.
eh, I'm like, wow, man. But I don't blame the dad for doing that. Finding out your dad is that, can't live with yourself for that.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. Like, but while you're out here, like, I mean, well, no, we can't even do it because, like I said, once again, ain't no point of even asking the question to anybody because when you're angry and you're lashing out and acting on emotions, right, and you've been through this type of trauma, can't nobody ever really say what they're going to do. There's no answer
Mhm.
to that. So
Mhm.
I don't. The one thing I can ask you, right? I don't know if you know. Do you know about the case and what's going on?
Not really, but I mean, when you mention it like that, I don't blame him though. Kinda, I
Okay.
don't blame him though. Literally, like after going through that type of trauma and finding out your dad is like that, I don't really blame him for doing that.
Well, it ain't finding out. They knew the dad was like that. The thing is, was getting other people to believe their story.
Mm, I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying I don't blame him though. Literally, that's what I'm saying. I don't blame him though, because literally finding proof and like getting other
You know
people to believe.
Okay.
Oh,
Blessings,
goodness
blessings,
me.
Hero. Blessings. How you doing this morning? Blessings, blessings, Mel Dub. How you doing this morning? Oh, Mel Dub says, "Is that even a question? They are guilty as hell." But what makes them guilty? Because I'm looking at everything. I don't see them. I mean, they're guilty because they killed their parents. Yes, they got remorse. You see where I'm coming from? But at the end of the day, see, me going through something like that, right? It's crazy how I could sit here, right? And I could honestly look at this case and say, mm, unless you walked a mile in their shoes, what would your reaction be? You see where I'm coming from?
Mhm.
Guilty, why? Because they decided whether it was late or early to take action. Because at 18 and 21, right, everybody knows your mind is not fully developed. And when you're going through that type of trauma, right, like you got to realize these kids were being the therapist, the psychologist was there with the parents. The two people that were supposed to protect them, right, wasn't there to protect them. Who do they turn to? And then people's like, they could have ran away. Okay, 18 and 21. Do y'all forget about the Stockholm syndrome? Syndrome. As a survivor, as a warrior, right? I could sit here and I could sit here and say, somebody that's been through this type of trauma, right? Somebody that's been through this type of trauma can't sit here and tell you how they're going to react when they get their vengeance or when they do this. One thing I could tell you is that the thoughts that these boys had, we all have had them. Everyone that's been through that type of trauma, they've had them. Some react on it, some don't. You see where I'm coming from? Guilty, yes,
Mhm.
for killing their parents. For killing their parents, but they've been in jail long enough. What's crazy is, right? Some people may call it that, may say that it's not self defense. But tell me how. Because, first of all, y'all not taking the time to even realize, right? These people were, one, well known, well respected, had money in their hand, they could have paid anybody. And some parents are like octopuses. Doesn't matter where you go, right? There's somebody that knows who they are. Oh, they're here, they're here, they're here. Boom, you're found. That's a fact. That's a fact. I may be saying
Mhm.
it wrong, you see. So I appreciate Mel Dub if I said something wrong for correcting me, but I'm explaining it to y'all what I'm trying to say, right? Guilty, innocent, or guilty, right? Because that's what people are trying to determine. Are they innocent or they're guilty? They're guilty for killing their parents, yes. But they shouldn't be doing life without parole. They shouldn't,
Mhm.
they've done 34 years. Enough is enough. You see where I'm coming from? There's
Yeah.
proof, there's evidence out there of the molestation. You see where I'm coming from? There's a letter out there that they withheld from the trial. There's so much stuff out there. Like they could have did lesser time. See,
Well,
like I said, you see where I'm coming from? They
I
could have
think
did
it's
lesser time
I
because
agree. I also think this as well though.
at the
If
end of the
it
day,
was I just think the thing is, but they're guilty for for taking a life, yes, but for morally, yeah, I don't blame them though, So, in a way, two
Facts.
wrongs
Okay,
don't make
facts,
a
facts,
wrong.
facts, facts. I like the way Mel Dub just said that. Okay, absolutely. I agree with Mel Dub. I agree.
Okay, I agree. So I was just saying to me though, like two wrongs don't make a right,
Oh no,
but
it don't. But you gotta
if you have to
realize the
pick,
mentality.
I was just gonna say, if you had to pick the lesser of the two evils, rather be in jail for basically taking a life than doing that.
hmm What's crazy is that I think there was damn, it's just the torture that these kids went through. Like as kids, and I seen the pictures and stuff like that. That's why I'm over here like, damn, I can't believe that father really did this shit to them. Like, and why didn't they, listen? And that's the problem. They were hearing the case, but they wasn't listening. So them doing all this time, yeah, it's time for them to come home. I'm not saying they're innocent, right? But at the end of the day, they're guilty for acting on their emotions. Yeah, they're guilty for acting on their emotions, for killing their parents, for not taking the time to analyze things, trying to figure out if there was another way out, another route. But I felt as though that they felt like they was pinned. You know, 18 and 21, you still make stupid decisions. You're not, 18 and 21, I can't sit here and say that I've actually seen someone make the right decision yet. And when we're scared and in fear, you see where I'm coming from?
hmm
I feel as though we make the worst decisions ever. That's why I talk to my kids. I tell them, look, listen, you don't panic. And I always tell them, you talk with the truth. Always talk with the truth. No matter what anybody thinks, no matter how embarrassing the truth is, speak with it. You don't ever
Yeah,
lie
I
to me as
agree
your mom.
with you
Listen,
though. Yeah. I was just gonna say this is like even when you do to the
I understand
children,
what you
the
said,
thing
Empress.
I guess the other thing as well is I guess when you do talk as well, I guess sometimes though, when you're 18 or 21 that time, no, like to someone. You can tell them many things, but it's like deep down inside, it's up to them,
I said patrol.
like to subconsciously, take in that information and act on it. Like it'll be there, like whatever you're saying, but it's for them to basically learn for themselves. If they don't do it, like even if you tell them no, and if they don't listen, it's for them to learn for themselves. That's how it happened to me, though. Like I made stupid decisions though and say stupid things though, but I had to learn it the hard way. So even if someone did tell me not to do it, you know what we're like though as humans. When someone tells us something, we'll just pretty much do the opposite.
That's a fact. That's some real shit. Empress is fine. Only Empress. I don't. Y'all gotta go check Empress out, yo. I'm telling you, yo. Y'all won't be disappointed. Off topic. I don't think black men should shave their face. Oh, neither do I. I don't listen, man. I don't think no grown man should shave their face. It makes them look older, more masculine. Well, I know.
I
It makes
never shave though. The only thing I do is trim it. I trim it but never shave it. My mom told me not to shave and I listen.
me, Empress. I'm dead. I'm listening, Riaz. I'm sorry.
I got you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying to me, my mother told me don't shave, so I said, okay, I won't do it though. I just trim it instead, so at least I can maintain it nice.
He said I just trim it. Let me find out Riaz out here getting sexy for the ladies. Ah, snappity snap, snap, snap. Riaz, let me find out. He out here, he like, I gotta look good for the ladies, yo. A lot of you want love. Thank you so much. I
Yeah, but
appreciate
us just
it.
do that in general. Because sometimes the certain lengths don't look nice though, for me. It's not just for ladies, and it's only for me also. I'm doing it for my own good. Because sometimes those certain lengths don't look nice. So that's why I just do it for my own good.
But
Plus,
that's
though,
real
it's
shit.
also my genes as well, though. Asian boys don't grow hair quicker, so if I just trim it now, I can just regrow in a few weeks.
Yep, that's some real shit. Yo, Mel up funny as shit. He said how hard it is to keep up a beard, man. But Empress ain't lying, y'all. Man, listen, our black men look so handsome, so sexy, shit. With their beards, fade that John. Keep up with that John. Get your own clippers. Stop waiting for the barber to do it, man. Keep up with that shit yourselves every 3 to 4 days. But don't shave that shit off, man. Fade that shit. Do something with it, but don't shave that shit off. It makes y'all look more. Listen, man. I don't like my man to look young. Like, man, you gotta look older than me. That baby face. Listen. Empress ain't lying. Don't shave that beard off. Keep that joint on. I be telling my baby
Mm-hmm.
the same shit. I tell my fiance, don't cut it. Just fade it. Fade it out. Just fade it. Don't cut that joint, please. Not now. Shit. But yeah,
Plus, it's in our culture to keep it anyway, so that's why I don't do it.
listen. What my grandpa used to see, any man in the family shave their hands, their legs, or their beard, he would get so pissed off, and he would tell him, he's like, yo, you better not shave that shit off. Da, da, da. He's like, you shave that off, you ain't nothing but a hopping on rainbows. Let me put it like that, because I cannot exactly say his words, because that F word, yo, they was really strike this damn life today. Oh, you respect some facts though. Emperor's like, listen. I tell my baby pops the same shit all the time. Don't shave that joint off, man. I hate when a man shaves his beard off. Like, don't do it, man. Looking younger than what you're supposed to. That baby face. Like, no, we're not teenagers no more. Let's grow up together. Yo, Lonnie really did change the conversation. But yeah, we are going to leave the Menendez brothers for part 2. That might be next weekend or the weekend after. Tomorrow we are going to
Okay.
speak on Vince McMahon. But
Um,
this case is crazy.
wow.
This case is really crazy. It's really sick to my stomach, the stuff that was done to these boys, right? Um, I'm gonna be very honest, right? Eric Mendez, right? He keeps more to himself, right? I see Lyle being more of the more shout out guy. I seen him trying to turn what happened to them into, a book, a movie, and I feel as though that he kind of messed up. He he didn't take what was going on kind of serious for a moment, and he kind of messed them over. But I don't know if he ever did manage to publish his own book or his own movie. I do know there's 2 books out with their story and much more. I'm digging deep into this because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. Like I said, even though this happened when I was young, this is not a case that I was familiar with. Unfortunately, the O.J. Simpson case took over as I was growing up, so this case was already
Wow.
faded. The Menudo cases were rising, so I do know about Menudo, but I did not know that the Menendez brothers' father was a part of that. So now I do know, and I'm sitting here, even with that being evidence, why
Well,
are these boys
yeah,
still behind bars? Like,
wow. I mean, I did see Alani's cases. What Alani's saying though, she's saying something about she's here for the Vince McMahon one because she just watched the documentary. I already know about stuff about him because
yeah, I did a go ahead.
I'm very familiar because I used to just hang out with people though online that were like wrestling fans and stuff like that. So I just know a lot about it. So yeah. And also, what's interesting as well? I found out as well, they found out there's this case on Chris Cabba where he was basically
Uh-huh.
shot by police and Chris
Uh-huh.
Cabba was a UK producer. He was a
Oh, let's
UK
talk like,
music
wait, what?
producer.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm
Like,
listening.
he was a member. Chris Cabba was a UK drill producer, and he was a member of Chris. He's a member of the 6-7 UK drill group / gang though.
I think
So
I heard about that.
so basically, Kaba though, people asking to get justice for him, and during the case in court, they banned his background and stuff like that though. So they banned the discussion of his background, and after the case was over, they found out he was a career criminal.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, Chris Kaba though is a member of 6-7. 6-7, the UK drill group, but they're also a gang as well.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see what it's about.
Yeah, and so basically Metropolitan Police, though, they thought he was suspect though. So they basically took him out. They took him off the board. But basically though, people found out what they did and they are seeking justice though. and they literally protested and asked for justice. Though, so then they had to get they had to get independent police board to investigate the case as well to see what they were doing. They had to get an independent board to actually investigate.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Mel Dub said, "I'm coming up to defend Vince McMahon when you have that live
Mm,
shit." I'm gonna have a lot. This will be my second live on Vince McMahon, like because I did my
wait,
first live, but they
I
striked the
also
John.
did. Wow.
Um,
But
anyway,
I also did mention as well in that first one as well that Vince McMahon tried to get what you call it, wrestling company Ring of Honor or ROH Wrestling. He tried to get them banned from the MSG. He tried to get ROH banned from MSG though, but that didn't work though. MSG did not listen and they let him in. That was in 2019. So 2018, 2019, Vince tried to get MSG banned because of that exclusive relationship they had for years. And he don't want no other company to actually run a show there other than him.
well, listen, man. I found out that throughout the time, I know The Rock is already owns parts of SmackDown if he doesn't own all of SmackDown.
He
But
does
this
now.
shit, I know I'm talking about now. So
Yeah.
this shit is deep. I know Paul Heyman is in charge of WWE now. What's his name? Ted's. I forget. I used to like him.
No, ECW though.
But
No,
no, hold
Paul
on one second. Let
Heyman
me
ran
hold on.
ECW.
Riaz, hold on. Let me land it. Hold on.
So,
Okay, I know them, right? And when I was reacting to the live that I had that they took down, I noticed that there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Mm, a lot of these people with money, like I said, they got the power to get away with what they want until somebody has enough evidence or enough proof to put them away.
well,
My thing is, who had the evidence and the proof to put Vince McMahon in pause right now? Because it's like, damn, he was gone for years. Like shit. Like
yeah,
who would
but
have
also
thought?
some of the things he said as well, they're not just on TV, but also some of the interviews he said, he's like self-snitching as well, self-incriminating himself though. Like literally, like they find out what type of stuff he did as well. Literally though, like he was kind of snitching on himself.
I
Literally
don't know.
openly saying, no, in a way, like when he was openly saying what type of things he does though, don't you think there's a little bit of self-snitching in it?
But see, that's my thing. He doesn't incriminate. See, these are sexual allegations. On that part, I haven't seen himself incriminate himself yet. So I can't sit here and say, yeah, he's incriminated. Now, the way he is, the way he does things, that's never been a secret. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
So
I'm not
it's
saying
kind of
that.
crazy. Like,
I'm not saying it like the allegations though, but I'm saying, in them allegations, there's a bit of truth in it though. I'm not saying
oh,
you're not wrong.
no. I wasn't saying that, but I'm saying like him snitching on that. No, but um, the way he is obvious. Like that's one thing that I could sit here and say because everybody knows how Vince McMahon was. See, me, I grew up thinking that wrestling was fake. I was told it was fake. It looked like a script to me. So I thought it was a script my
I-
whole life. I didn't know that they
Yeah,
were actually portraying their real lives. You see where I'm coming
well,
from? So
of course,
at
of course. But also, though, when we used the word fake as well, though, for me, when I was told it was fake, though, I literally got offended, though, because I actually loved it so much. It's not that I don't believe it's not real and stuff like that. I'm very well aware of it. But still, to me, I don't want to believe it's like that. So to me, basically, I know what it is, but it's at the same time, I wouldn't use the word fake. If we use the word like pre-planned or basically, pre-planned and stuff like that, or performed, I'd rather use that than the fake word though, because I already know if it's pre-planned, then that's what it is though. I'm kind of because that's why wrestling fans get offended when they say it's fake, because almost everything else is real in a way, but the finish is not real. So the ending is not real. So like the results aren't real, but almost everything else is.
yo,
Like they do get hurt for real.
Not really. I think back then, yeah, maybe in the ECW and stuff like that back then. But I've noticed that everything's gotten more and more like Now, when they fall off the ladders and stuff, yes, that's believable. But all that blood and stuff we seeing, oh, that's fake. All that blood stuff, that's fake. But
No, I'm saying I didn't say really all of it though. I said there's some of it though.
oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. Some of it is real, yeah, but some of it is fake too. Like at the, it's like it's all a play. Is like it's a script. That's why I
oh
thought my
yeah,
whole life,
but I
like,
said highly trained though as well.
yeah.
Because if you actually do the moves for yourself, that you can really injure yourself. And even if you're highly trained as well, they also forget as well though that if you make one mistake, you can injure yourself badly.
I heard
That's what,
something like that, Mel Dub. I'm not so sure. I'm still looking into it, but I do know. I think The Rock has ownership of SmackDown. If I'm not mistaken, he's the one that runs SmackDown, and I think Ted. What's his name?
no,
Ted
no, no,
Bundy. What's his
no,
name?
no, no.
Ted
His
something.
name is His name's Paul. No, no, Paul Heyman runs Raw. I think. No, no. His
Yeah.
Triple H runs Raw though.
Let me see.
Triple H, Ted.
Back in the day, it was acceptable for
That-
men, especially men in power, to be aggressive. Example: grab grab them by the kitty cat. Yo, she ain't lying on some real shit. I used to always be curious when my old heads used to talk like that. I'm like, you want a kitty cat? Yo, one day I
Mm,
really picked up a
Oh wow.
cat,
Actually,
and they
yeah,
was
Mal
talking about
is right though.
hold on.
Wait.
Hold on, Maria. One day I
So
picked up a kitty cat and gave it to my old head. They was having a conversation about kitty cats and men and all this stuff. I literally grabbed the kitty cat and I was like, huh, old head, you was talking about a kitty cat. Here's one. And she sat down and explained to me what the conversation was about. And mind you, around this time, I was like 7, 8 years old. And I'm sitting here like, oh, so we naming our private parts now. I didn't know. I didn't know that was a new one to
oh
me.
wow.
At years old,
Okay.
7, 8 years old, like what the fuck is this old man talking about kitty cats
Wait,
and
but you know what? That's what Bar's saying is right though. It's a scripted finish, but the blood is real, and it's basically a technique called blading though. It's a technique called blading. So they probably secretly hide like some kind of shock thing though, and literally find a way to like, you know, like not go too deep, but basically do a little bit here so it finds a way to like, let the blood come out.
I've never been to that. I've never really paid it attention until now
But
that all this
okay.
stuff is coming out. That's why I'm like, listen, I ain't want to sit here and say I know
Wait,
everything.
but that's so interesting as well. There's Jeff there as well, though. Like he didn't want to do, the match as well because he wasn't paid enough. So he basically held hostage. And then when he was paid enough, he agreed to drop pay. And after that, though, he was never allowed back for years.
I thought, yeah, the fights were too. I'm like, listen, man, I didn't know that them fights outside, but behind the scenes were real too, man. Fuck out of here. Yo, the stuff I'm learning about wrestling now, I'm sitting here like, why didn't I take the time to even pay attention to this when I was younger? I mean, I was into wrestling when I was younger. Like now I'm learning about all this shit. Like I thought all that was fake. Like they did China dirty if all this is real. They did some they did some of they did some of these people dirty if all this shit is real. And if all the allegations about Vince McMahon is true, that's some crazy shit. That just lets you to know that people with money can get away with about anything they want.
Wait, but I think also as well that this thing they also probably did as well. They found a way to, blend both what's real and what is scripted and what is real. They blend it together. So sometimes though you can't, for some people though, they can't tell the difference though. Like what seems real is not real, but what is not real is actually real though. So it's like they blend it together.
Mm-hmm. It's a way to fucking confuse the shit out the audience, but draw attention.
Right, but I mean, that's kind of in a way, though, to draw attention. That's kind of in a good way. Something's in a good way, though, what I mean.
Yeah, but still, like, damn, I would have never thought in a million years. Like I said when I did the live the last time, Vince McMahon. I was like, people was like, it should have been obvious. I said, what should have been obvious? That a little girl would have thought that this man was out here doing the stuff that y'all accusing him of? No, stupid. A kid don't think like that. What the fuck?
I got into it when I was like about 12 years old. So that would be 2014. I got into it though. Me and my friends used to watch it though. Like when I used to in Saudi and stuff like that, my friend had a game though. So I just said, okay, why not get that? And I played it. And from there, I just instantly just got into it like that.
This is crazy, yo. I would love to hear y'all opinions, yo, on the Menendez case. Those of y'all that, catch the replay and stuff like that. Let us Shorty know what y'all think. I think I should change. No, innocent or guilty is what they're going around saying. But I think I should change the name of the title, just like, Mel Dub said, because I think different. I think he's guilty of the crime. I think they're guilty of the crime they committed, but there's a reason why they committed this crime. They shouldn't have did this much time behind that crime they did, especially when it was self-defense. But we're gonna dive deep into this. We're gonna look at the trials. We're gonna look into more clips, more interviews and stuff as time goes by. This is just part one. I'm gonna have to edit it because they almost gave me a strike earlier. So this is just part one of us getting into the Menendez case. But once again, we're gonna dive into the Vince McMahon too. So let's see how these things go. But unfortunately, right, the world needs saving, but mankind don't want to be saved. Like I'm gonna keep saying that. That's something that I've observed as a human. Right? Mankind don't want to be saved. There's only a few that want to live to see tomorrow. Others don't care who makes it, if it's them, if it's not, if it's what happens. They don't give a fuck. So at the end of the day, a Shorty worries about those that care, those that want to move forward, trying to bring a solution and much more, yo. Like peace out, peace out.
Mhm.
Blessings, Empress. Blessings, blessings. I'll see y'all on the next
Okay.
one. But yeah, um, this is crazy. For Riaz to be young as shit. I like his input. I mean, he has a good, he has to look more into it. But me personally, enough is enough. They shouldn't be in there. That if anything, why didn't they put them into like a mental institution, some type of rehabilitation? I feel as though that jail shouldn't have been the place for them, right? Because once again, even though they reacted the way they reacted behind their actions, right? They needed more help. They needed some serious type of help, like the help they're going
Okay.
to need if they do come home. They've been in jail for so long. It's a whole new world. They're coming home to something different. They don't know what this world is really like out here. They've heard about it. They might see the news. They might,
Yeah, I get you on that though.
that
Where
happens
about?
a lot. I don't know why it happens. I mean, a lot of everybody on YouTube is going through that. They don't get the notifications on time. I don't get my notifications for when people go
Okay.
live. So,
Okay. I'm lucky enough to get my notifications though. Some
okay,
I don't, but some I do, which I'm lucky for.
shit. Some I
Sometimes
unsubscribe from certain people. I have to sub back up. I'm saying, I'm like, what the hell? And people are telling me the
I
same.
think I think there's another way of doing it. Adapt on sub. All you gotta do is just basically, like the bell notifications. Just click, when you cancel out when you cancel out the notifications, not to be notified, and then put it back to what it was and try that. I tried it and it worked.
Yeah, some people do it though, but it still doesn't work. I don't know if it's
I
because
don't know. That's just a YouTube thing. I'm just probably suggesting another way, but
I don't know. It was suggested too. That's what I'm saying. You're not wrong in what you're saying. It worked for some people, but for others, it doesn't. So it's like, don't be disappointed. It's something wrong with you.
yeah, I know. And also, is it? Yeah, I get you on that though. Wait, but the Chris Kappa case, though, I did take a look at that. It was really interesting as well. Like, pretty much the people I follow as well, though, like in the UK and stuff like that, they actually, wanted justice for Kappa and stuff like that. Because the way he was done unjustly, though. Like, I get, like they say he was a career criminal, which is not alleged, though. It was actually true. He had a history of being a criminal anyway. And I know, like, it was like basically to some people, police was just doing their job, but the way they did their job wasn't right, though. I feel like they're wrong.
Yeah, but you know more about the case, so you could be right. I would have to look into the case to either agree or disagree with you.
Okay.
So you making a good point on based on what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. But I would have to look at the case to see it from for a better understanding. I don't know if you understand me.
Okay. Okay, I got you though. His name is Chris Cabba.
Hold on one second. Mel Dub said, I do have to ask you a question though. Rachel, seriously though, think about what is the purpose of prison. Is it to punish or rehabilitation? I mean, sometimes I think about that question too, because I'm saying if it's for punishment or rehabilitation, right? Is either one being done? Like, I hear so many stories about the prison that I don't really know what the prison really is about. You see where I'm coming from? So it's kind of like it's meant to be this, but I hear this about this, and I see this about this. I only see a few come out rehabilitated or doing right, and the rest want to come back like it's home. So it's like I question a lot about prison. But one thing I could tell you, right, that I feel as though that the Menendez brother could have probably had a mental breakdown. Like they could have probably really like just broke down, and I don't know if y'all understand where I'm coming from due to their behavior. Because it's crazy, right? There's a lot of stories like this out here. I was in a group, I went to therapy for a lot of years. And I was in a group, with a lot of kids around me when, they had their parents. And I've heard, these little boys talk on their stories and how they were molested and stuff. And yes, it exists. And I'm sitting here and it's like, hmm, what if they would have put them into a mental institution or something like that? And back then, they wasn't really bad. The parents wasn't there, nobody to pay them off, unless the company would have tried some shit like that. You see where I'm coming from? Like, pay the doctor off in the mental institution or something like that. But I feel as though they needed something more for up here because what they went through was a trauma. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we're not gonna know. Like, I know they accomplished a lot while they was locked up from what I've heard. You see where I'm coming from? But them accomplishing them things while they were there in them four walls, never coming out here to the real world, which is different. Plus they're respected there. Coming out here is a different thing. It could be triggered by a lot of things. You see where I'm coming from? It's a whole different gameplay. And I know
What
that
I
because I've heard it from some
say
people that
also
have.
that I think also while there is
Hold on.
like they get broken down.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's the people that come out of there. Some people like, oh, they thought they would be ready when they come home, and they're not ready. So that's why I question: is jail really for punishment, rehabilitation, or is it what I hear so many of the activists say that it is? It's more of a slavery thing. I don't know if y'all get where I'm coming from. Like, and it's crazy. Like, it's hard to break down because I have to find the right words so I don't get that straight. Like, I like going raw and uncut. That's why I like Mel Dub, yo. Mel Dub be having them hard ass questions, but I have to work around the answers. Because I want to say what I'm thinking, but I have to switch it up for YouTube a little bit. But I want to be direct still with it. So it's kind of hard. I don't know if people understand where I'm coming from. Because I don't want to change my way of thinking. I don't want, I want my way of thinking. I want you to understand the way I see it. And I don't want to change it up to confuse nobody. Because it's like, I get where Mel Dub is coming from, but as a survivor, as a warrior, I want him to understand where I'm coming from. I can actually relate to the Menendez brothers. You see what's crazy? And listening to their actions, their behavior, I can honestly tell you, I could have done the same thing to my abuser. My abuser's out here free. My mom messed up my case. You see where I'm coming from? My mom messed up. So it's kind of like, who? What if? Like sometimes, when you see things like this, it makes you and it takes you back in time. And sometimes I'll be like, damn, I wonder, what if I would have reacted on my thoughts? Would I be in jail? What if the fear of being separated from my brother wasn't there? And I would have actually poisoned this man the way we wanted to. He would probably be, he's gone. That would have been justice. I'm not going to sit here and lie. That would have been some justice because that's some real justice. Speaking up, he's still free. Free because people still covered up for his ass. A judge wanted to put him away, but because my mama, my main witness, fucked up, my case got fucked up. All I can get out of this case, because the judge and the lawyers believed me, was an order of protection. This man was not allowed to be around me until I left this house, until I was the age of 21. That was the only thing that kept me safe from this man. They believed me. But it's crazy how my mom fucked up the evidence. My mom fucked up so many things. And you know what's crazy? I don't hate her. I was mad at her, but I don't hate my mom. I really don't. Do I still hate this person that did what they did to me? Yeah, I do. I don't want to be nowhere near this person. I can't I can't even find it deep down in me to it's like I don't know. Sometimes I feel it's like I forgive you, but I deserve my justice. My brother deserves his justice. And every other victim that you've touched deserves their justice. But it's how do I go around that? How do I go like you see where I'm coming? I could reopen my case any given time. But the trauma that leaves behind that is crazy. People don't understand that part. It's like I got witnesses. I got people that should have been in trial when I was going to trial, but my mom was like, "No, we don't want this person to come." I don't like, damn, how you do that? Eyewitnesses, but it's all right. That's why I said I could relate to this case. As somebody that's been through something like this, I could relate. If these young men went through all this, yeah, their actions behind all this is possible. It is possible. Because unless you've been through something like this, you can't sit here and tell me that you will not react the way that these young men did. Yes, they're guilty for killing their parents. They've said they got remorse for it. But at the end of the day, when you're mad and you're angry and you don't know how to control your emotions, how do you go about that? Can somebody bring me a solution to the table for that? You see where I'm coming from? How do we get these young men and these young women, right? So that's why I give them a shout out because while he was in prison, right? That's why I say Mel Dub makes a point. He does make a point. But prison hasn't worked for everybody. See, that's what I'm saying. Some of us is bold. Some of us isn't. Me, it was more the fear. If I did this, I could not be around my mom. You see where I'm coming from? And then my mom was also covering. She's a co-conspirator. My head was everywhere. I loved my mom. Who I wanted to punish was him. So it was kind of like, it's hard to explain. Because I was close. I didn't do it to him. And because I didn't do it to him, the depression and the feeling of it being my fault, you know what it led me to do? I almost committed suicide. I ended up in a hospital 3 times. 3 times. So that's why I'm saying that it's hard. Like, you want me to get deeper? I can get deeper. It's hard. No, I didn't do it to him. But because of me chickening out and not doing what I wanted to do to him, that pressure, that feeling is your fault. Is your fault. He did it. You deserved it. It's your fault. I almost took mines. It's to the point where I had to leave the house, get me together, and come back for my brother. When I came back for my brother was already out of his mind. There was no helping my brother. That guilt in me made it worse. That it blinded me when I tried to help my brother at first because I was giving in. He wanted money, I gave it to him. He wanted this, I gave it to him, not knowing that underneath my brother was hiding an addiction until I found out the truth. So that's the crazy part. That's why I'm saying it gets deep. Being a survivor is not easy. It really isn't. So it's like, I get where you're coming from, but I get where they're coming from. Like, I've seen a lot of these. Oh, my link is in the community wall. It's also pinned up there. But yeah, these are not easy topics. Like, I've overcome my situation. You see where I'm coming from? But it took years of therapy. I've been in therapy since I was 5 years old. And in the beginning of my therapy, I went and talked to my therapist. You know when I started talking to my therapist? After the last time that I attempted suicide. That's when I started talking to a therapist, really talking to a therapist, telling them what was really going on, right? Because when I first tried it the first time, they didn't believe me. They believed my mom. My mom was covering for him because my mom didn't want him to get deported. I never understood how can an independent woman depend on a man. Listen, to keep him here for the child support so that he could around his, like, knowing what you, listen, it's crazy. But now that I'm older, right, I could understand a lot of the stuff that my mom went through. My mom was somebody that never got help, right? So, like I tell people, right, how could she render me what she never had? My mom never really got the help. But one thing I could sit here and say is that she tried to get me to help. It's hard. It's hard. So, speaking on these stories, once again, I understand a lot of people and I see why people could say, oh, they wrong. They shouldn't have did this. But you can't say that when somebody's under so much anger and so much rage. Blessings, blessings. Good morning, Mel Dub. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. You done made me wake up and get on YouTube early in the AM while the family's still sleeping. I'm not showing my face because y'all.
Oh, you good. You good. I'm not worried about that.
Beard shamed me early this morning.
You say y'all beard shaving me. No. Ain't nothing wrong with nobody shaving their face. I'm just saying I agree with Empress that our black men look so much sexier with their, with their beard on their face, more masculine.
I got way too much snow on my face. I might do the shadow thing, but hey, I want to tell you, this is a powerful conversation that you probably need to revisit because there's a lot of people in this sector who have faced that trauma that you're speaking about. Mm-hmm. And this conversation is something that needs to be had as far as questions on, why did the Menendez brothers act out the way that they acted out? Or why didn't you or anyone else who suffered that trauma didn't act out that way? This is a deep thinking question, question mm-hmm. and platform I think that you're setting up. So, I want to stay tuned and I'm going to try to pay attention to it. I've seen some of the most tragic situations related to, child abuse in that nature. So with the Menendez brother situation, I'm always black or white. And what I mean by that is,
Ricky, I understand.
Yeah, the question the question is, by legal definition, did they commit a crime? Did they commit, murder on their parents? I don't know if I could say that or not. Should I say the M word or something?
Oh, you could be real with it. Yeah, you could be real. Okay. I think the word will strike me down for for using the R word and the other one.
Yeah. There's some weirdos in the streets, but
I say everything. I'm bold. I be telling people, I be trying. There's no filters in my mouth, no hairs in my tongues.
But no, this is like Rachel. This is a real conversation, and so and tied around the Menendez brothers. I wish I had saw it earlier. Well, I was asleep, or maybe go live maybe later in the day, bringing it up because the question is should they be out of prison because they did suffer some traumatic abuse at the hands of their father and that was culpable by their mother. Okay. But then the question is asked, there are thousands of kids who face that abuse every year. And they don't pick up a shotgun to kill their parents.
That's a fact. And I'm glad you're saying it like that because the question is going around is, are they innocent or guilty? And I was like, you know what? I need to change the title because Mel is right. You're not wrong. I should be asking it the way you're saying it because of the way I'm asking it. Because I'm not asking if they're innocent or guilty. In reality, everybody else is. What I'm trying to say is, have they had enough? I understand they killed their parents, but when you look behind the reason why they killed their parents, should have they been behind bars or should have they gotten some type of mental help this whole time? Because when they come home and they see the reality, right? Because it's different now. Like, I understand they did so much in there. They built so much in there, but they built it in there. Prison world and the real world is two different things.
Yeah, but damn, Rachel, you make my head hurt this early in the morning. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because as sure as I could say, well, they are guilty of this crime because they committed this murder. I mean, the murder of their parents. I had an aunt who was murdered by her husband 32 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I wish that she had picked up a shotgun and blew his head off. And that way she would have still been here because I'm an advocate for women defending themselves against abusive men. So in this sense, if a child kills their abuser, is it wrong? Or if a woman kills her abuser, is it wrong? See, that's why I say you opened up a conversation my brain wasn't ready for this morning.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I felt as though they did it out of fear. They was already in fear their whole life, something that they was already used to. Stockholm syndrome really does exist. So I feel like the younger brother didn't know how to, he loved his parents, but he hated his parents. I can relate to that. I know what that is. I loved my mom, but it's like we had a love-hate relationship. You're not listening to me, you're not understanding me. So my lashing out was I took everything she gave me. She thought, she did the same thing to me. She tried to buy me out so I wouldn't speak up. Don't speak on this, can't nobody find out about this. I always try to figure out why can't I speak on it? You see where I'm coming from? Buying out a kid isn't going to work. We're going to take that money and just lash out. I would get high. I would go buy weed. You see where I'm coming from? I was already getting prescribed Xannies. So let's put two and two together.
So the only thing I would say on their case where I wouldn't necessarily say, okay, they should be getting out, is the question of premeditation. Because if I'm remembering the case correctly, I was probably about 9 or 10 when the case came out. And I remember a lot of comedians making fun of the case too around that time.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm like, I don't really pay attention to it because in reality, OJ Simpson took over. That case faded as I was getting older.
Because the Menendez brothers case was the case until OJ came up. Yep, you're exactly right. But the question I have is premeditation. Because premeditation is the difference between first degree and second degree murder.
Yeah.
And they planned to kill, well, pretty much the older one spearheaded it, but they planned to kill their parents. I haven't watched their series yet, but I did, but I know I've watched
I don't
them.
go by the series. I'm going more by the interviews and what I've seen, the proof that's out there. So if you really look at it, right, when they went, if you got to look at it, this happened in a matter of days, right? It wasn't as long as they made it seem in the series. This all happened in a matter of 5 days. That's why I said if I feel like it was a heat of the moment. So my thing is, they go up to the mom, they try to talk to the mom and let her know. They find out the mom knows. So your only other escape to get out, you see where I'm coming from, or finally say something, is trapping you in too. So you see, okay, this one's over here abusing you, this one's over here, but apparently the mom was already abusing the older one. You see where I'm coming from? Like that's the crazy one. That's the crazy part. So my thing is, who could they go to? Let's make it make sense. Everybody knew them. They was well respected. The dad went and told them that day, you made your choice. Eric made his choice. Whatever happens after that, whatever conversation, we wasn't really there, so we're going by he. So we could only in our heads imagine what the conversation was going about, by what they're saying. So in reality, I could see her and take that as in, damn, there over here is like killed or be killed. What do we do? How do we do it? How do we get out of this? We go to somebody, we're still screwed. They're not going to believe us. They're going to believe them. Even though they had family members that were on their side. That's the crazy part. Like, yeah, I get that. But they didn't do nothing either. So put yourself in their situation when you're pinned in a box. You got to see me, I stepped outside. I took my past out of it. Like I tell people, you got to observe and look at it. But I could also relate at the same time, but I'm not running on my emotions. I'm looking into their case. I'm sitting here, I'm like, damn, there's so many possibilities that I can go about this, right? And I wonder if people are thinking about it too. Like, what could have made them do this? Why didn't they take the time to analyze things? They were running on fear. Fear doesn't make you think. If you really look at it, their whole life they was running on fear.
Yeah,
So
but they also were 18, and what was it, 18 to 21?
yeah, but doesn't change the fact the other one was still getting. Listen, the other one, what caused all this was when Eric told Lyle that his dad was still raping him and that he was not allowed to tell anybody, that he wasn't allowed to go to college. He had to stay in the house. So now you're telling him that he's not allowed to go nowhere. He's trapped. What would you do if your parent sat here, has been abusing you your whole life, is still abusing you, and because you know this is happening, you sit here and you threaten him? Like, wait, what happened?
So
You got to sit here and realize 18 years old, your mental is still not all the way there. We gotta think about it. They
You
ran on fear their whole life. I know what it's like.
you could
I know what it's
yes,
like.
yes, the mental is not there, but hold on one second. My kids are making a lot of noise this morning. Hold on one second. Give me 1 second. Let me go scream at some kiddos.
Oh no, you don't gotta do that. I know what it's like. I got my kids, but they kids, they gonna be kids. People don't like it, that's on them.
I just asked them nicely to be quiet.
I know, man. I'm telling people, man, they kids out here, man. I,
Yeah,
I wish I had a soundproof room and I'll be right in there, but I
tell
can't.
me about it. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a moneymaker for parents. What is it? Escape room from
Mhm.
kids. So yeah. But no, so 1821, okay, their brains still haven't developed.
They really not.
But then I want to ask you this question because I see it a lot. What happens when an 18-year-old goes and shoots up a school? Is their brain not developed, or should we charge them for the crime that
Like,
they committed?
no, I've said this before. I still feel the same way. I feel as though, let me like, I agree with what you're saying about the jail thing, but if the prison system was a little different and I wouldn't see it in such a slave way, you see where I'm coming from? I could agree with you 100%. If the prison system had just one side where they would deal with their mental, like if you see where I'm coming from, okay, they're in there, they locked up, I get it. But do y'all deal with their mental? Do they see a psychologist every month? You know, once a month, a therapist once a week. You see where I'm coming from? Is y'all really dealing with them issues deeply to prepare them to come home?
But that goes back to that question I asked you, Rachel, and I might even do a live on that particular question. Is prison a place to rehabilitate, or is prison a place to punish?
I don't
Because we
know.
see we see that we see that the rehabilitation piece doesn't work because recidivism is at an all-time high, and more likely if you serve in prison from 5 to 10 years, you're more likely to be a repeat offender.
Mm,
So that rehabilitation, getting them the GED. And I taught GED in jails before, so I know this. So, not in prisons,
deep
but in
project.
jails. But does it really help them? Are we really a blind society where we say, oh, a felon can have another chance and I'm not going to judge that person by
Mm,
their felony? You know,
I think we're
because
thinking the same thing.
yeah, so the question I ask you is it the job of the prisons to provide psychiatric help, to give them rehabilitative services? I'm not giving you my opinion on it. I'm just asking that question.
No,
Or is it really just 20, or it really is just eat your food, go to bed, open door, cell door, close cell door, don't get in trouble until you get out? Which one do you
see,
think
because my
is
thing is, right, I was told that prison was for punishment, right?
okay?
Not for rehabilitation. Never was I. And this is something new that where I hear the combination of both recently in the past few years, and it hasn't even been that long. But I know back then, prison. You know, growing up, I was told it was for punishment. You did something wrong, you go in there, you're punished. You got to do this, you got to do that, and it's not a place you want to be in, right? So, you know, I don't see it as a place of rehabilitation. Like I feel as though a place of rehabilitation, you need to be surrounded with doctors. I've been in a place of rehabilitation. I've been in a mental institution. I'm not surrounded by CEOs and I'm not in a jail cell. I'm in a room where doctors come in. I got a little more freedom than what people got in a jail cell. I don't know if I'm saying it right or I'm explaining it right. Like, only thing is you fuck up, you get put in a straight jacket in a padded room. That's it. And a needle in your butt cheek that's big as shit. Like, but other than that, like the doctors take the time, they listen to you. You see where I'm coming from? They determine if you're bipolar, if you got schizophrenia, what, some of them. Now, I'm not gonna say that for all doctors, but I'm hoping you're understanding where I'm coming from. There are some doctors that actually care. So they'll help you get rehabilitated and find out what's going on. So it's kind of like I don't know if I'm seeing a difference in both of them from from what I've experienced, what I'm seeing, and from what I've heard. I've never been in jail. I've been in a detained. You see where I'm coming from? But I've never been
Yeah.
locked up. I've never been in prison. None of that. So I can't sit here and say, "Oh, I know what this is like and what's that." No, I could just sit here and say I've heard the stories, and I'm from where I'm sitting at. I feel as though jails worked out for some people as a punishment. Like they don't want to go back. They don't want to see the day of light in jail ever again. But for others, it's like they want to keep coming back. Like, it's crazy. Like,
Hey, sister, that's why I told you. I said that's a tough question to ask, and that's one that you really have to wrap your mind around when we have these conversations. And so,
my thing is with you saying that, right? It leads me to this question.
mm-hmm.
When somebody commits a crime and they've been through trauma, do they need punishment or do they need rehabilitation? You see my point? Is jail for them, or is it better for them to be in the hospital? They can't leave neither or. You see where I'm coming from? You can't leave a mental institution. In reality, you can't. The only difference is you're not going to get shot down or you're not in handcuffs.
But I'm gonna go back to the black and white on it. So if a
it's a good question. I'm not mad at it. I like this.
So I think I look at it this way. A woman is being abused. She gets in her car and she speeds away from her abuser. Mm-hmm. And she's driving down the road going 85 miles an hour in a 45 mile per hour zone. A child walks in front of her car and gets hit by the car. She's guilty of vehicular manslaughter. Whatever she was experiencing, in my opinion, does not change the fact that she is still guilty of that crime. So to answer your question, I believe in certain situations. Oh my God. Why'd you do this to me though? This is too damn early in the morning, Rachel.
You're not wrong.
It's too early in the morning.
Would I be wrong for saying that these people should get rehabilitated before they visit a prison cell to get punished? So they, see a doctor to determine, leave them there a good 30, 60, 90 days in a mental institution, right? Before they determine it's prison or it's a mental issue.
But couldn't everybody say that they suffer some type of trauma? You think about it. If
you could tell by a psychiatrist though, like, and then by the crime that's being committed too, and then looking at the evidence, like that's what I'm saying. It should be determined looking at the evidence. With every case, you should be able to tell, like, could this have been? And if it's a situation, deal with that situation on that case accordingly. I don't know if you understand. I'm trying not to ball it up and go everywhere.
But the way the laws have to work is they have to be uniform to everybody. You know what I mean? There can't be any exceptionality.
In every case with the proof. There was proof in here that there was molestation. There was trauma. You see where I'm coming from?
And there's also proof there was premeditation.
That's my whole. Damn, he's on that one. I'm confused on that one, like, because Lyle was acting one way, but you could see that Eric was serious about it. So it's kind of like, it gets me to think, could one brother have really, it's like, I don't want to say that Lyle didn't want to go through it. You see where I'm coming from? That's why I want to go deeper into it.
Now that is a very real possibility.
I feel like Lyle is the one that started all this. I feel like Lyle was the one that said, all right, let's do this. He's the one that planned it, if it was planned out, if you want to take it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's two ways I'm seeing this. So it's like...
So Rachel, I don't know. Do you remember the case of the DC sniper? So one thing I'll say is this: like,
I haven't seen it.
Do you remember you need to look up? You need to look up the DC sniper, because it actually kind of ties into what you're saying a lot. There was a guy who was training a young man to be a shooter, a highway shooter, and so they terrorized the whole Virginia area. When I was up there, everybody was like nervous as hell that they got on certain highways, but because they would do like random shootings, black, white, young, old, just random shootings. The young guy got charged with the murders, but the older guy who was manipulating and training him was the one that actually got the death sentence. So I think in this case, is that what you're saying? Like, although both of them are culpable, did one of them influence the other? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because if I'm not mistaken, at one point, the father was making the older brother molest the younger brother. That's what I said. This case is sick. So Lyle, like been planning this for a while, and Eric could really be innocent in all this, and he really do need some type, at that. I mean, at that moment, because I don't know if they got any type of help during the prison time. It seems like they could have. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna speak up for them. Is what's being said is that they got a lot of respect. They've accomplished a lot of things. They started a program to help men that have been, young boys and men that have been molested and stuff like that. So I mean, they've accomplished a couple things in there. But
No,
it still doesn't take the fact that damn, I get it. I understand where everybody's coming from. But damn, now Mel made me look at it a little different, and he's making me look like the way I was looking at it in the beginning. I mean, when I saw a couple of the videos, I'm seeing him like it seems more like, and that's why I'm gonna keep saying it. Lyle, if y'all want to take it the other route, it seems like he's the one that really planned everything.
because Lyle's the oldest one, right?
He's more shot out, yeah, the one that wanted to write the book, and he was saying, "Well, we got," because I felt that though that. What if he thought that nobody was going to believe them and he had to spice it up to get them to believe it? Or I don't know. Man, I'm trying to get in his mind real quick, as somebody that's been through some shit like that. But it's like every angle I look at is like, could you have manipulated your brother to do this shit? It could have been a possibility. Because like I tell people, what stopped me from actually reacting in my thoughts was the simple thought of being separated from my brother. It was always me and him.
Mm-hmm.
So us being put away, I knew there was consequences behind what I would have done. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was like, if I'm not with him, what's the point?
But see, that goes to what I was saying with you earlier was what was the difference between you and I don't and
That's what we don't know yet because we haven't gotten to the root of their problem.
Mm-hmm.
I know mine's, but I don't really know theirs. You see my point? Because the big brother kind of messed it up, and that's why I said that earlier. I was like, I feel as though like if the brother wasn't sitting here trying to reach fame behind their trauma, because he probably knew a little more. He was 21. The other one was still 18. A week before they committed the murder, his father just committed an act with him, which he called angry sex, rough sex. Like, let's be specific with it. So you see where I'm coming from? The younger brother had names for all the abuses that he had. It's kind of like he was getting attached. He had a love-hate relationship with his dad. He didn't know if he should leave or he should stay, if it was right or if it was wrong. He was asking questions. Does a father does this? Does a mother do this to you? He was trying to figure it out.
Well, usually when siblings get into traumatic situations, the ones who experience a similar trauma tend to bond together and form up against whoever that accuser was, to them. So I could see, when Eric mentioned that to Lyle about what happened, that in some sense, Lyle may have felt that he let down Eric because he let what happened to Eric happen. I mean, what happened to him happened to Eric, and it's like, well, we're going to work together and we're going to put a stop to this because we don't want him to abuse anyone else. So,
but you're right. Either way, if Lyle is right, he did premeditate this, right? Isn't 35 years enough?
For premeditation, sometimes it's the death penalty and in life without parole.
But you got to realize it was on self-defense.
Well,
I mean, that should take something out. I mean,
no, if it was premeditated, it's not self-defense. It means that they planned, organized, orchestrated. That the father, they didn't get into a gunfight with the father. They didn't.
Okay, you're right, but let me ask you a question. When you have no way out, you have to plan a way out. You see where I'm coming from? So it's like, really in this case, it's like, damn, that's some fucked up shit. Because if he had to find a way out, and that in his head was his only way out, why? Like that was his only way of self-defense. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I sound crazy for saying it, but it's like,
no, you don't.
I don't feel as though that they were wrong for killing their parents, but they're guilty for killing their parents. Yes. Like,
did you see how they just asked for
forgiveness? Yeah, it's crazy. No, because all right, they've been abused. They went through so much trauma that their parents say, "I'm sorry for doing this to you. I apologize for doing this to you." And even if they did, is it going to take away what they did? Is it going to take away the trauma? It's not. You see where I'm coming from? So it's like, they don't need to apologize for their actions, but they need to pay for their crime.
if I were the judge in that case, and because it sounds like I'm the prosecutor, you're the defendant right now, and I'm not
Crazy.
and I'm not saying that you're saying, hey, kids, go kill your parents. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying,
Yeah, I'm not saying that either, guys. Please don't do
yeah,
that.
but
There
from
is no
but,
serious
but
consequences.
as the prosecutor, I would say, unfortunately, they never gave their parents the chance to apologize if these crimes were committed and they were egregious. They took the law in their own hands and they made the decision to execute their parents on allegations when the fact remains they're the only ones who pulled a trigger, who hid evidence, who pre-planned this murder, and did take out their life insurance policies on their parents. So now it looks like it was a murder for financial gain.
So I see where you're okay. You're breaking it down a little more different than everybody else. Okay.
Because remember, they lived lavishly after their parents were killed.
They lashed out heavy as shit. They was
Yeah,
like,
because they got their life insurance money. That's why.
Now, because for me, I would have wanted more justice. I mean, but it's crazy. You're right. But there's this is one tricky decision, one tricky, because of the way everything is. Like, I wish it was different, but at the end of the day, I can't sit here and deny the fact that you're right. No matter how.
I can't deny the fact that you're right.
Like, fuck. But you're not wrong, though. I just wish that in situations like this, they would give them like some type of like, if there's a trauma like this where, they killed somebody because, they were sexually abused and there's proof, I feel as though they should put them through, some type of, let them see a psychiatrist 90 days, whether it's in a jail cell or is in a mental institution. But before you lock them up, the term.
Rachel, is prison supposed to rehabilitate or is it supposed to punish?
And back to that shit. It leads back to that. So yeah,
always gonna lead back to that. Yeah.
So we have to find a solution. Then that's the crazy part. What is the solution?
But hey, sister, salute to you, man. This is a good conversation. I'm telling you, stay on this. And when you cover the Vince McMahon one, I'm gonna make sure that I try to track. When do you usually go live?
I listen whenever my kids are down. I just pop up. I be trying to schedule, but then I disappoint everybody. When I noticed that, I was like, you know what? I'm not scheduling.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna just tell y'all, like, listen, just sub up, put the notifications on, because I just pop up, and I be on here for a while. So it's like, either way, y'all gonna catch a little bit or a part of it.
Yeah. Well, when you do the cover the Vince McMahon one, so yeah, like when I grew up as a childhood fan and I studied, watched a lot of wrestling and stuff. So that's why I was like, I know who the ownerships and stuff is of the time. Because McMahon, before the sexual assault allegations came out, he did the smartest thing. He actually sold all of his shares. Paul Levesque or Triple H, he used to be the CEO, which is Vince McMahon's son-in-law.
Yeah.
But now he's like, he has something to do with it, but he's not like the head guy. I believe it's the guy who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars now, who owns WWE. But yeah, they did that partnership with the UFC. So
I heard
this is
spending like that.
It's a lot to cover with it's a lot to cover on that, but I'm gonna encourage you to do something because you said you're just learning about like a lot of the backstories with wrestling. Yeah. There's a series called Dark Side of the Ring. It's on if you have Xfinity, you type in Dark Side of the Ring, you can pull it up. I'm pretty sure you can pull up on YouTube too as well. It's on Vice. It's on Vice TV. That's what it's on.
I got Xfinity, but for internet, not cable.
Okay.
For TV. I don't watch cable no more. I don't like ads.
It's a waste of money, but look up Dark Side of the Ring because they highlight a lot of stories. Like, did you ever hear about the Chris? It's on Vice.
Vice. Oh, okay. I got that on my little whatever one of them little apps. I got it's like 3 to 4 apps in one.
Yeah. It talks about a lot of them. So the first one I'm gonna tell you to look up is New Jack.
New Jack.
Yeah, you'll see the dudes. He does some crazy stuff. So, but all right. So salute to you, Rachel, man. This been good. Now my brain is fried before 8 o'clock.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you because this is a touchy subject, a tough subject. A lot of people don't like hitting links on these but I mean I feel as though express what you gotta say because you never know. Like at the end of the day, we could probably agree or we could just disagree.
Well, we're not having a debate; we're having a conversation, and I think a lot of people have lost that art of knowing the difference between the two.
Yeah, but you was making a lot. I couldn't listen. I couldn't deny the fact that you on point with what you're saying because at the end of the day, you're right. And I'm just sitting here as shit. I'm taking I'm putting myself out and looking into this, outside the box, and it's like, damn. I feel as though me personally, I think they had enough time. I feel as though they should come home, find some type of counseling and live their life. Unfortunately, the father's not here. They took their life, so it's not like we could put the father back on trial and have the father pay some time too and get the real story. But from what it looks like, the family has said that they were doing things. Come on, that somebody they even missed the fact that family members were saying that the father would take the son into the bathroom when they would do something bad and take showers. I'm like, what type of punishment is that? That's your punishment? You will get in the shower with your sons? That don't make sense. I mean, the proof is out there, so it's kind of whew, you're right, and I'm hoping that I'm not wrong on what I'm saying, but I just feel as though enough is enough. Let them go.
Yeah, but then the question is, are they institutionalized? And when you institutionalize somebody and they've been in prison for so long, then it's hard for them to be able to restructure and resurface in society. So I always liken it to the movie Shawshank Redemption. I don't know if you ever seen that or not.
No, not yet.
Oh, girl, what's wrong with you? That's like that's a legendary classic movie. So it's about a guy that's supposed to get in prison. But anyways, there's a scene where an old guy who had been in prison for 60 years gets out and he doesn't know how to function in society, so he ends up killing himself. So, being in prison for 18, when you're 18, and it's been 35 years, I think.
There for a minute. One's 53, one's 55.
Yeah, so when you get out, what are you going to do? Maybe it might be better for them just to stay in there because they don't have a house. They don't have, they
got wives.
Huh?
They got wives. They got married in prison. You see where I'm coming from? So it's kind of I don't know. They got families too that they want to, they should be able to experience that. So it's kind of that's why I was saying it earlier. If they do come home with the trauma that they have experienced, should they find some type of mental help, some type of counseling, and deal with their situation? And they got the support. Allegedly, they got wives that are waiting for them to come home if they do get free. I got the video, so I'm on part 2. I'm gonna show that one of the wives speak up. If I'm not sure, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Eric's wife speaks on a situation recently.
Oh yeah, no. When they get out, absolutely. I would definitely recommend that they go seek some counseling. But then the question is, should the taxpayers pay for that counseling? Because that goes to where I said is
they need to work. They need to do what they got to do. Shit.
Rachel, who gonna hire a 35-year felon?
Oh yeah, you're right. My bad. I was going a little overboard with that. Chill. I'm just trying to find solutions for them. All right.
Who gonna hire a 35-year felon? They're gonna bet they might be pushing carts or something.
Oh, dude. Hey, listen, man. Clean toilet. Start something somewhere. Listen, man. Don't knock it down. You really want your freedom? You gotta do something.
Yeah, no, I'm being a little bit facetious, but felons, a lot of felons do start over and find success. I know some who definitely did 10, 15 years and they found ways to be successful. So I was being a little bit funny with it, but in all seriousness, it will be a rough road for them.
It's gonna be yeah. But the good thing about it, like I said, if hopefully they got some good wives. you know, but they're still strangers to each other. That to me is a little tricky. So I
That's
get
gonna
where you're
be
coming
that
from.
would be weird if you know like to expect them to pop out and be natural husbands, you know, after being in prison for 35 and the only experience they know of manhood was an abusive father
And an
and
abusive mother.
of manhood was an abusive father and the inmates who they served in prison with.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right.
That's crazy,
I get what
right?
you're saying now. Yeah,
They
I
were
was
just
lost for a
kids when
second.
they went in there.
Damn, you're right.
That's all they know. So, what kind of fathers are they going to be? What kind of husbands will they be? You know,
We gotta take that into consideration because you're not wrong. Because sometimes the victim becomes the predator. Damn.
oh, that you can't
Mm.
tell the truth this early in the morning.
No, no, I'm glad you did it like that because I would keep. I gotta look deeper into it anyways. Like I tell people, like right now, I'm just giving my opinion. Like I'm looking at it's all the way. I'm listening. I'm watching. So it's kind of like this is just my opinion for right now. It might change if I see something a little different. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I haven't seen everything all the way. Them trials were long as hell. They're like 4 or 5 trials each one, and then they were, I'm sitting here. I'm like, that's gonna take me a minute to go through. So yeah, you make a good point though. Besides everything else, yeah, you're right, completely, all the way. You're making you're making me think a little more logical though because I see it in another point of view, another way. I wasn't thinking it or seeing it that way. I was just thinking, damn, enough is enough. Like looking at the evidence, looking at the proof. To me, I was in my Olivia Benson bag. Real shit. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Like unless Mel Dub would have sat me down and said, "Look, listen, let me help you out, and let me have you look at it this way," I would have been still in my Olivia Benson bag. Like, oh wait, there's got to be a way out.
Yeah, but no, I'm just like I said, I just think of the technical man, but
But you're right though, because listen, you
great.
saying this is gonna help because all the young men that watch my lives and all the people that catch the replays, they don't just get a woman's perspective. Now they get to hear another man's perspective. I mean, a man's perspective. You see, in a grown one at that, somebody that's been walking these trenches that have seen some stuff. You're not just speaking to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my whole
Yeah,
point.
yeah, I've seen some traumatic situations for sure, but I think this is something that you might want to revisit in terms of like
Yeah, definitely.
separating alive specifically about whether I might do that with me because I do want to delve into that question about prison versus rehabilitation.
When you do tag me, so I can get the notification.
Yeah,
Bad.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But then the other part is you really, really, really don't get off of that conversation on the trauma of
Oh, I'm not
these
definitely
this
because
abuse, and hopefully it's something that you can catch in the evening or something where we can get a lot of people to come in and have that conversation because I think it's too important not to talk and because you see how some people are very loose lip about that conversation where they
yeah,
throw out allegations of people M-wording their kids and people throw out allegations, you know, talking about kids and all this other stuff on here. And it's like, you know, these jackasses do not know the serious trauma that is associated with these claims that people make. You know,
yeah.
they'll tell a man, "Oh, well, you M-worded your kid," and then they'll put it on their wall, and it's like, what is the sick hell wrong with you? These are not things that are jokes. These are not things where people call themselves mandated reporters, but they're not really mandated reporters or they disrespect the system. I'm a mandated reporter. I've had to use that mandated reporter system because of kids being traumatized by people who they were supposed to be who they were supposed to trust the most. I've
And
seen people, a little girl, because I heard your situation a little bit. I saw a girl who was killed in my area because a family. Because I think you said mentioned something about deportation, right?
yeah, my mom didn't want to really, she didn't want to really give him up because if she would have said everything she knew, he would have been deported. He was an immigrant.
Okay. So I've seen a situation, and that's what I wanted to say, because I've seen a situation where a young girl 6 years ago, a beautiful little baby, around 8 or 9 years old, she was murdered because her family was getting money by taking in, because her family was, I believe, immigrants, and her family was, was one of the places where they would bring in somebody who came illegally. And one of those people who they brought in took this girl, had been abusing her, sexually abusing her while he was there, and then ultimately took this child's life. And so, and we can't play with these terms and these allegations.
Because I got to tell people, you know how he used to put fear in me? People don't get it. Like, yeah, that's how they control you. People are like, oh, run away, do this. No, it's not that easy as y'all want to. I could have ran away anytime. You know when I ran away? When the order of protection was put in. And I was able to leave the house because my mom was still bringing him in. But anyways, my whole point is, right? My brother was going through the same thing. How do you run away when you're trying to also not just protect you, but also protect somebody else?
Yeah.
It's not that easy. But you know who was taking the beatings? His fear. Listen, my brother wasn't born with schizophrenia. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia at the age of 3.5 going on 4. When no, it wasn't. Yeah, 4 years old, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. My bad. 4.5 going on 5. I'm trying to get the ages right because I'm only a year older than him. And what happened to me was when I was 5 going on 6. So he got in the way of protecting me, and he had this big Mexican belt. You know what the leather belt looked like? The Mexican
Yeah.
He has buckle in the front of it.
Mm-hmm.
He because I was fighting him off one morning. This was before school. I was fighting him off. My brother got in the way. He noticed it, and he hit my brother, and he started hitting him. I got in the way. He hit my arm. My mom made us get in the school bus. I was trying to explain to her what was happening. I don't want to hear it. I don't got time for this. I gotta go to work. Y'all always coming up with some. She was coming at us. So we went to school, and I kind of, I started blurring everything out, and I didn't expect that, they was gonna send DHS. They called my mom. When I came home, she was waiting. So I almost got an ass whooping, but I ran. And I went to my sister's godmother's house and I told her everything. And she whooped my brother's ass that day. And I remember my sister's godmom came over here. She got, listen, those are memories people don't understand that will never leave. Like, I had people trying to defend me. That's what I'm saying here. I'm like, I don't understand how can an independent woman depend on a man when she didn't even need him? What the fuck was he there for? But, I'll never know. I'll never figure it out. And that's not something I'm going to dwell on.
You know how I know for a fact that you're telling the truth and what you in the trauma you just shared. Because most cases, if not all the cases where kids speak on their trauma, they have very descriptive memories and very descriptive moments, very descriptive memorization of objects.
Yeah. It's memories. It's like certain things in real life. Like I tell people, I got PTSD. I suffer from it. Like when I saw this Menendez case, it triggered a lot. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Like it's certain things that I said here, I had to repeat and watch a couple times because it's like, they're like, why would you repeat it? Because I had to take a break and then get back to the video.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to be a smart ass, but it's like, yeah, that's why I had to repeat the video to understand what was going on. Because if I let my PTSD get in, my emotions are going to get in. Then it's now my past I'm reacting on, not his. I'm not going to be able to understand what the hell I'm watching if I'm reacting on my past. That's what I want people to understand. That's not something easy to do.
And we let and in a lot of cases, the DCF system fails our children because it sounds like they failed you because the school did their job and reported it. But they went out there and they were like, oh, we're going to check on us. And then ultimately they gave your mom an opportunity to, take out her, rage on your brother for you even speaking out about it.
Yeah. And all that did was put more fear in me because I tried to take my life the next thing I tell people. I'm like, I thought I was doing something by speaking up. I was like, I'm hurting him. I'm like, what am I even doing? Like, people don't understand. As kids, you get confused. And when you think you're making the right decision, the adults make you feel like you're doing the wrong decision. what do you do when you're stuck in between a nail and a wall?
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if you're 18, because it's like people are like, oh, but you was there with your mom. I loved my mom, regardless of whatever she put me through. I didn't know how to leave her side. And then when she got sick, that made it worse. I don't know. It could be the love of a child. But at the end of the day, after, she passed away, I found out truths that I should have known when I was a kid. How can a mother that, never had anything render to you? Her trauma was worse. So it's like, I'm sitting here like, oh, she went through some shit. I didn't know this.
Oh, you talking about when she was young
She was
herself?
younger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like she wasn't ready to be a mom, but she became a mom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I tell people, like, I didn't understand her. How could I understand her?
And what abuse did she suffer when she was a kid?
Phew, my mom, she got with my dad when she was 13. Listen, it was a lot. I don't know, I don't know if every, grandparent treated their kids the same way, but my mom was in PR. And, she was the oldest out of all the kids. She was the one that had to wash the clothes, clean this. She had her ass whooped. The punishments it was more abusive, like physical and mental than sexual.
She became a mom. She became a mom before she became a mom.
She ran away at the age of 13 with my dad, who was 23. She didn't have me until she was 21, which is, I'm like, but I found out she had a miscarriage a little after she had me, then had my brother, all in between. I'm saying, how the hell that happens? But it happens. So it's kind of like my mom went through some shit with my dad, but she was also the cause of it. You was young, and you didn't even know that you was getting with somebody that had mental issues. I found out my dad was schizophrenic and was a kingpin. I'm saying, how the fuck does that work? I'm like, oh shit. So their stories is crazy and shout out at the end of the day. Like, if you look at it, a minor with an older man.
Yeah, but that was not.
How did my grandparents let that happen? I can't even answer that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm just saying. It was,
I feel as though they just gave her to them. I don't know, but I listen. It didn't come out their mouths, so I can't even say that.
No, but the main thing is you are here now.
Oh, that's
and and whatever you went through, you were able to endure it. You didn't pick up a shotgun and take somebody's life, but what you did do was you harnessed that, and now you became a good mother. The mother that you wish you had. So you just always focus on that piece, and then always focus on the piece of taking the good things from our parents, but then also making sure that we learn from the bad things so we don't repeat those mistakes on our own children.
That's so true. That's the truth. Because like I tell people, man, don't make the same mistake. Because listen, man, I found a way to run away at the age of 15, but I thought my baby pops was gonna be my savior. And guess what? At the end of the day, right, running away isn't always the best option. Because look, I had a kid at 16. Got pregnant at 16, had my child at 17, and I still ain't have no free. I never had a childhood, and like I tell people that I didn't really grow up until I had my last child, which is my daughter. I didn't grow up. I was a baby having babies. Nobody understands that part. My mentality wasn't really there, and I didn't understand that the therapist was trying to already tell me that my whole life until I had this girl. Like, you never know what you really are until you see the purest side of you walk right next to you. Like, it took a little girl to see everything in me, how life is, what I need to change in me, because I didn't want her to go through what I went through. That's crazy. I grew up, and she forced me to grow up. Because I'm not going to sit here and lie, before I had her, I was still childish. I was still angry. I was still lashing out, and I had 2 boys. And you would have thought I was grown, right? No. At 25, I was still cursing out men in the street because I was mad at men. And I would come at women because I was mad at my mom. So I'll be telling people it's deep. So before y'all sit here and bash a man down for going through what the Menendez brothers went through, or bash a woman down for going through some type of trauma, think about it. What if it was you that went through it? How would you feel?
Oh, that's a great point. And that's very, valid, to always put yourself in that position of the what ifs, So, but hey, salute to you, sister. I'm gonna pop on off of here. I think my kids finally got themselves together.
So I appreciate you for, coming up here, having this conversation. Make sure y'all go check out Mel W. Great topics, great conversations. I'm able, to catch up when he's live, when I get the notifications once again. So make sure you tag me when you do go live. So the tags we get, the notifications, they slow. It's a YouTube thing.
Salute to you.
I appreciate you. Shout out to Mel W, y'all. But yeah, on that note, man, I got another way of seeing things today towards the Menendez case, because I didn't even think about the prison system, man. My whole life, I just thought that it was for punishment. But Mel W made a good point. Is it for rehab or is it for punishment? And what's crazy is for every situation right now, I hear people say that prison is for punishment and rehabilitation. Is it? That's a good question. And then my next question is, do y'all believe that the Menendez brother, served enough time behind their crime? They killed their parents. That's there, right? Should they be released with the new evidence that's there? Because, they should have gotten lesser time, yeah. But if they do get released, right, should they get counseling and keep up with their counseling? Me personally, I feel as though they should. That's my opinion. That's what I think, right? And I agree with a lot of what Mel W said. So we're gonna dive deeper into this. So like I said, part 2 is gonna probably be next weekend or the weekend after that. So we're gonna dive into the series of the Menendez brothers, and let's see if them being released is worth it. I mean, it sounds messed up, right? But as crazy as it is, like, will they survive it? I mean, I said it earlier, and I'm gonna keep saying it. They've been in there so long, but they've accomplished so much in there. But see, that world is different from this world. Never been in prison, but I've heard the stories of people that have come home and are still trying to get adjusted. So Mel W makes a good point. They're going to need some type of serious counseling to get adjusted to this world, to this era. 2024 is not a joke. Like, my prayers go out to them. Hopefully, they do come home, they get some type of counseling, but that's Olivia Benson speaking, right? Damn, man, I think they've done enough time, man, for real. But are they guilty? Yeah, but they've served their time. But let's dive deeper into this because we never know. We might find something that they've missed. We might learn something that we haven't learned before. So we're going to dive deeper into this. Tomorrow is Sunday. We will be going deep into the Vince McMahon. So hopefully, they don't strike me on this one. So I'm going to find they shouldn't, because this is true crime. Yeah, they don't strike my videos down for reacting to true crime. So finally is on true crime. So we're going to react to the true crime videos of Vince McMahon. And I'm definitely going to see the dark side of the ring, like Mel W said. I'm definitely going to check that out. Shout out to everybody that's been here. Yo, I appreciate y'all. Everybody's been rocking out with a Shorty, right? Because y'all didn't have to be here, but y'all chose to be here today. And if it wasn't, for all my subscribers, for all those people that share my videos, like the videos, help a Shorty bring awareness, man, a Shorty would not be here today, once again. So I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Till next time, this is your Shorty Rachel. I hope all of y'all have a blessed and humble morning. Continue to have a blessed and humble day. Whew, this Menendez case is crazy. Damn, babe, you was completely right about this Menendez case, yo. I'm glad you said I'm going to let you see for yourself.
To Philadelphia, a.k.a. Philadelphia. HP, baby. In HP where my blood runs deep. Not born in Philly, but raised in the streets. A Shorty from Ponce, Puerto Rico, I hail. Taino roots run deep, my heritage won't fail. Indigenous to both lands, I proudly proclaim. America where water and air come at a price. But in HP, my heart finds its place. Though it hurts to see what my community has to face. Sometimes I look around lost in a maze. Questions linger in vain, pause in a haze. People get offended, their egos inflamed, yet they scream for change, their voices untamed. We seek to make a difference, to break the chains, but anger and offense cloud our noble aims. Opinions are silenced, a disheartening scene. In the HP community where I grew up as a kid, we had nothing but fun. Didn't matter what we did, no matter what we looked like or where we came from. We got along just fine, never felt the need to run. But then a few kids went missing and some loved ones lost their lives due to mistaken identity, confusion, and hate that thrives. And I don't know when it all